Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? Good. Good. You are from Ukraine?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do I know you? Am I supposed to know you? Yes? Are you from the church?
From the church, yes.
From the church, okay. From, what was the name of your church? Not Embassy of God, right? Embassy of God? Pastor Swabuje ili kakoe ta serko drugoi. Kakoe?
Another church called Spasenia.
Was Crescene?
Spasenia.
Spasenia, yes, I know Spasenia. In Kiev or Veshnova, yeah. Okay.
And asked us to be here.
Who?
Biletskaya.
Bileska to Nelia
From
Beleska
your church.
from our church. Yeah, Nelia.
They asked us to be
Yes. Good. You are going to be thankful for her. Okay, are we on?
Yes.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello. Good evening. How are you all doing today?
Good.
Good?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Where is your sister?
She's sitting there in the back.
She's there? Okay. All right, welcome everyone. Это вам устраивает так, чтобы так сидели, да? Это вы так перестроили? Сидение нормально для вас? Вот так?
Мы расставляли полчаса перед тем, как
О, хорошо, окей.
видите, где камера, маленький свет, тут большой.
Okay. All right, here we go. Welcome everybody. How are you all doing? You fine? You are the youngest. How old are you? 7. Are you sure you're going to cope? You know what it means to cope? You are going to be able to cope? Wow. You are the strongest 7-year-old that I know. You're going to be a giant. A giant 7-year-old. I thought you were the young. Life.
What is matter?
Life. 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 Okay. I want to talk. Wow. Okay. Well, to all the people watching us on Facebook, I just want to tell you that we are continuing our session. Why do people deny the truth? Why do people reject the truth? Sorry. Why do people reject truth? Why do people reject truth? And yesterday we spoke about the fact that people reject the truth because they don't like the source of truth. But today we have another reason, another explanation why people reject truth. People reject the truth because they are more comfortable with an alternative explanation. People sometimes prefer to give an alternative explanation to whatsoever truth that you present them with. So, Pearl, can you come here? Let me use you as an example here. So let's say, Pearl, you come here, and maybe because you are young, or maybe because it's not because of you, maybe because of my pride. Let's say you try to tell me any form of truth, anything. And even though what you are telling me is the truth, but because everybody has an ego, let's face it. Everybody has an ego, and people have ego. So because of my ego, I say, well, yeah, I have my own understanding about what you are saying. I don't really think it's like that. I think it's like this. Well, whatever you are saying, well, okay, that is just your own opinion. Have you ever heard of people talking about gay marriage and gay situation? I heard Pastor Chris was talking about, you know, all kind of perversion that's going on in the schools and all over the world. You know, it started by people not wanting to take the truth. So when you tell people that being a gay is wrong, because men and women are created differently, and men are supposed to marry women and women are supposed to marry men, they come and tell you, well, you know what? I think I was born like that. They come up with their own explanation. So you say it's not right, but they say, well, what about if I tell you that I was born like that? That's the way I was born. That's my own preference. Or right now, there are some people that are lobbying for what we call, they are lobbying for pedophile to become legalized, and to make it legal for 40-year-old man or 30-year-old man to be having sexual relationship with 10-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old girl or boy. And the argument is, well, you say it's bad, but that is just my own sexual orientation. So what I'm saying is that truth provokes people to want to explain it away. There are a lot of things that people don't want to face. Because they don't want to face it, they will rather explain it away. Now, for you as a young girl, and for you as a young girl, for you as a young man, and for all of you who are young people right now, you must know that as you are growing up to face life and to face the world, one constant reality that you will all have to confront is the fact that people are not comfortable with the truth. But that is not your fault that they are not comfortable with the truth. And that is not your problem that they are uncomfortable with the truth. The fact that they are uncomfortable with the truth shouldn't bother you at all. What I'm trying to say is that as young people, one thing that you should always remember that should be in your head forever is truth is paramount and truth is supreme. We know that the word of God is the truth. And since there is the truth of God and of God's word, it's not debatable. And the truth cannot be relative. The truth is absolute. The truth is universal. The truth is, is non-controversial. Non-controversial. So, stand for truth. Your position must be that I don't care what you say, and I don't care what you say. I stand for truth no matter what. It doesn't matter if the truth does not, it doesn't matter who the truth is uncomfortable for, or if the truth makes you uncomfortable. The truth could make me uncomfortable too. So even though the truth is uncomfortable to me as well, but I still have to abide by that truth. even though I'm uncomfortable with it. Everybody has to bow before the truth, including me, who is speaking the truth. So if I do something against the truth, I am liable to answer before the truth, or and to take and be ready for the consequences of that truth. So the truth is supreme to me. The truth is supreme to everybody else. All of us must bow down at the feet of the truth. So now, what you want to learn is that when anytime you come across the truth, you don't want to be in the camp of those people that try to give what we call alternative explanations. Remember that word, explanations. So explaining away the truth. Just giving out different excuses why the truth is not legitimate or liable, they are not liable to the truth, or why the truth does not binding to them. So you remember this forever, that for you the truth must be the ultimate standard. For you the truth must be it doesn't matter, your father's word might not be the ultimate standard, but the truth must be. You know, you might not listen to me, but you know you must listen to the truth. You might disregard my advice or my instructions, but the truth, the instruction of the truth is supreme. So every one of us, we must submit to the truth. And when you grow up through life, this is going to be one compass that is going to help you navigate through life and sail through life successfully. That is the only supreme authority of my conscience. Nobody has to know about it. So the public opinion should not be the supreme decider of your decisions. Public opinion doesn't matter what public thinks. If the whole world is thinking that what you are doing is wrong, it doesn't matter as long as it's the truth. The truth is the ultimate commander for you. So it doesn't matter what the whole class is thinking. Or your class might think the opposite of what you are doing. Your whole class might say you are wrong. Your whole class might think it's wrong to go to church or to believe in God. Your teachers might think so. Your professors might think so. But you know the word of God and the truth of God's standard. You know if it is the truth according to God's standard. If I've been able to look through it, research it, and found out that it's the truth, God said it, it doesn't matter what the name of the professor is. It's because what they do to you in the university is that they will try to use the authority of professors, or authority of geniuses, or authority of great men. They will be giving you great names, Einstein, Darwin, these and these, all kind of counts, all kind of people, you know. They will be naming different philosophers and scientists to try to convince you that your position of truth is wrong. But they are only men, and they are no more. But God is ever abiding. So if your position is in line with God, they lived, but they are gone. They are no more here. But God is still ever present. I can never be wrong. Once you are on the side of truth, you can never be wrong. Once you are on the side of truth, you are on the side of God. Once you are on the side of God, you can never fail. And they might disgrace you, they might condemn you, they might try to humiliate you. But the most important thing is that nobody can disgrace you or humiliate you without your permission. The only reason why you people get intimidated and why people get, annoyed, or ashamed, or embarrassed is because they are not sure of their position with the truth. Once you are relaxed in your truth and in the truth of God, once you know you are on God's side, let them do their worst. You can smile and laugh while you are confronting the whole world. You will be one against the whole world and you still be smiling. They will be shaming you and bringing forth reasons to make you be ashamed and disgraced and, humiliated, and you will because you are standing on a solid ground, the solid rock of the truth. Nothing is more powerful than the truth. Nothing is more authoritative than the truth. The truth should be your fortress at all time. When you put the truth forward, it's like you are hiding behind a fortress. When you put the truth forward, it's like the host of army is in front of you. They don't see it, but you see it because you see the truth. But every single time you stand for truth, one continuous constant that you are going to be seeing is the fact that somebody is trying to explain away that truth. I tell you that. Somebody is trying to explain away the truth you are saying. Somebody is trying to say, well, it's God who said that God is old-fashioned. Well, that's Bible. When was it written? 2,000 years ago? Well, it's not scientifically proven, But science, you want to take God to the laboratory? You want to use science to discover God in the lab? Laboratory is only meant for material stuff, for created stuff. But we are talking here about the Almighty God. That the size of God itself, there is no lab that can fit it inside. So what I'm saying right now is that people will always try to explain away the truth. But don't you ever be ashamed of your faith. Don't you ever be ashamed of your position of truth. Don't you ever be ashamed of standing for what you believe in. Don't you ever even believe that you could be intimidated. Don't you ever believe that you could be shamed. Even if everybody is laughing and jesting at you and pointing fingers at you, make sure you remember the truth at that point. Put yourself in that truth. It will protect you. While they are pointing at you, calling you names, you'll be thinking about truth. You'll be thinking about the truth upon which you stand. You'll be thinking about the truth of the Word of God. That will be comforting you. They are seeing shame. They are seeing humiliation. They are seeing all kind of, embarrassment. But you are seeing the truth. You are not seeing what is happening in the physical realm. You are seeing the truth upon which you stand and upon which you... So I'm still going to ask you questions. And the questions I'm going to ask you is going to be like this. What are the examples of or instances or examples whereby people explain away truth? Give alternative explanations. I will start with myself. Let's start with Jesus. But I will still go back to the scriptures and show you some more examples. But when Jesus Christ came to a city that is called Galilee, Capernaum of Galilee, he went there and began to demonstrate the power of God and healed the sick and casted out a few demons from people. So, things were happening that would not normally happen with the other preachers and Pharisees and Sadducees. You know what they said? They just explained it away. No. It's because he's casting out demons by the spirit of Beelzebub, the prince of spirit. He's just demon-possessed. That's all. People who are demon-possessed can do those things. He's just demon-possessed. That's it. They explain it away. Now, when Jesus, also other instances, when Jesus came and said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. They said, no. Who are you? How old are you? To say you are the way, the truth. We are children of Abraham. We know God. We obey the law of Moses. So they come up with alternative explanations. He said, I was there before your father Abraham was there. So how old are you? So people try to explain away the truth. Even Peter, when angel appeared to him, God was giving him a vision and trying to tell him to go and minister to Cornelius, who was a Gentile. What was it? Yeah? Huh? Yeah, he was supposed to go and minister to this army general or colonel. And he said, no, I don't eat something that is unclean. I don't eat something that is unclean. So that's another explanation right there. I don't eat something that is unclean. But the truth is, because he said, these are not Gentiles, these are Gentiles, these are not Jews. You know, so that's an excuse, an explanation why I cannot do what is the truth, what is right. But the truth is that the gospel belongs to everybody. So when we come up in your lives, all you kids, there are some truths that your parents have taught you from home, especially for girls. I remember when I was a young man in growing up in Africa. You know, even as a boy, my friends were telling me, "You don't have a boyfriend? You are not sophisticated." So I didn't know that what my parents taught me, what my family taught me, not to have boyfriends or girlfriends, just study and face your business, it was the right thing. But when I met friends started telling me, "You are not sophisticated." So they explained off that truth and just swept me off my feet very fast. Because I was not established. I was thinking, oh, all of them are so sophisticated. And here I was in the village of 40 houses, and they are coming from the city, you know. And the city guys always seem to know better, you see. Because they were wearing better clothes and looking more fashionable, and their language was even a little bit more refined than mine, you see. And so for some reason, they were always bold. They were the bold ones. So they came up with explanation and just explained off my standard and of my truth. Now, that's why I'm telling you, any truth you stand for, if you say, no, we don't have boyfriends, we don't date. Like in our church, we say we don't date. Our family, we don't date. But when you go to school or street or anywhere, college, you don't date. They will explain it away for one reason or the other. They will say maybe you are old-fashioned. Or they will say something. They will come up with anything. So there's truth like that, that you have been established in, maybe from your home, from the family. And there are truth that the Word of God has, you know, helped you know through the Word of God that you've been taught in the church, and there will be someone or the other, always, who will always come to explain away that truth that you stand for. That is just the way the life is, just for you to know. Just get ready for that. Any truth that you have is going to be explained away by somebody. And people will try to present you with an alternative truth. Alternative to the truth. Now, you are raising your hand. What were you planning to say before I ask my question?
I just wanted to say that it's very revolutionary what you said about how it doesn't even matter if it's not scientifically proven, the truth that we stand for, because our truth comes directly from God, and God isn't something that you can put in the laboratory. I mean, that makes so much sense. I mean, what's the definition of science? It's literally man's observations of the world. No, it's not even like the concrete facts of the world. That it's just what man sees as the world. Man. Only man. And you think that's a viable enough explanation to just dismiss the truth. It's not. Again, the truth is absolute. And the truth comes from God. And nothing can dismiss it. And so, sometimes it's flustered by opposition. Because you think, well, if this is the truth, why are people coming up with an explanation to it? And, well, maybe they're right. I mean, they said this, they said that, and they said this. But really, the truth is always the truth. And whatever they said, if it's not coming from God, then there's no reason to even worry yourself about it.
So I want to thank you for that revelation a lot, especially because I know I had those type of problems that I heard something was wrong, and it was from the Word of God. But just people came, and they were explaining it away, and they say, well, look at how these people do it. Well, you know, in nature, sometimes animals do that. And then, like, well,
I need to repeat what you had said earlier on, because they didn't hear because of the poor microphone in the beginning.
Okay.
from the very beginning.
So I think it's really great what you said about how you can't put God in a laboratory, and that people can say, for example, this truth isn't true because scientifically it doesn't work that way. But that doesn't matter, because God is God. Our truth, the truth that we stand for, it comes from God. And what even is the definition of science? The literal definition is man's observations of the world. It's not like even any concrete facts. It's just what only man, with their limited vision, with their tiny, tiny, tiny little spots in the whole universe that God created, and it's only what they see. And we don't even know that much about the earth that we're inhabiting. We can't even dig deeper than 12 kilometers into it. So seriously, every other truth, except for the one that comes from God, it's actually worth nothing. Even though it might be disguised as something or might look big, someday the people who are presenting that and lobbying it, they'll go away, they'll die, but God will always be there. And the truth will remain the truth. So I want to thank you for that revelation.
Yeah, I want you now. The question that I have is for you, and not just for you, for everyone else, is what are examples that you could all come up with, or you could think about, of truth being explained away, or people giving alternative truth? Can anybody think of anything like that you'd like to comment on? That when people are explaining away truth, and or just giving alternative truth about anything in life. Anybody would like to say anything about that? Any example? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think that you gave a good example with gay marriage. People find all types of explanations for that. Like, for example, people can say, well, gay marriage obviously isn't natural, because if 2 men and 2 women can't make a child, why would they procreate? And then some people will say, well, actually, there have been cases of 2 animals of the same gender procreating. So it actually is a natural process. And people will come up with explanations like that.
Okay. Any other explanation that alternative? Yeah? Okay. Stand up. What's your name again?
Joy.
Zoe.
Joy.
Joy. Okay.
So the alternative explanations that Pastor Sunday was talking about, I think it was the devil using people to mess up and play with your mind. And so that because we have the knowledge of the truth, and that we need to stand with that truth. So whatever the devil throws at you, because you have the truth and you have your faith, you have the shield of faith, so you can block it. And you need to stay on the truth, so the enemy won't deceive you.
You are very bold. Good for you. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Anybody at boat? Yes, please. Give the microphone.
My name is Omonike.
That's a parent.
Yeah. There's a program on a television show. There's a guy that came that the people were asking him, is about a gay?
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, like this.
All right. About gay marriage.
Yes, yes.
Okay. It's about the gay marriage thing. This guy came on and said, they asked him this, why are you gay? Why do you, like to be a gay? He said, no, from birth, that he knows that he was a queen. He called himself a queen. They said, how do you know that you're a queen? He said, because he was different to other men. He's a man. He said he was different. So they were saying, how can you say you're different? You're a man. You have all what man has. He said, no, he's been a queen. He calls himself a queen. So he's just explaining it away, that he has never been a man, that he has been a queen from birth. That's it. That's
okay, Zoe. You need to come out, Zoe.
I think
It's only louder, please.
the most well-known alternative explanation is evolution and creationism. Do I have to say more?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So like we know that God exists, and we only exist because He exists, and
Where's your energy?
because and the Bible explains every day how He created every day, 7 days of the week, why Saturday is the day of rest, and everything. While to people who don't believe in Christianity, don't believe in God, they have to find ways to explain how this world came to be. And people who really like science, they like to study, and they like to come up with their own explanations. But they weren't there and they don't actually know.
I think it's too low this time.
But they weren't there and they don't actually know. So all they can do is like draw conclusions and make assumptions. But we know it's true because it's in the Bible, and it's the Bible written by God, and the God who created us.
Okay. And Pastor wanted to speak. Eh?
I think.
Go give the microphone.
Thank you for that.
Go give the microphone.
Thank you for that, Zoe. I think she took the words out of my mouth. Because one of the things that people are confronted with, young and old, is this idea that we all got here by evolution, and it's factual science. It is not. It's just a theory. But they use the weight of experts and so-called professors to kind of bamboozle people's minds and so on and so forth. And the alternative explanation to creation is evolution. The thing with that is that they're uncomfortable with the truth of creation. Because if creation is held up as the truth, then it means that there is a God. Yeah. If there is a God, then people would have to be held to account for their behaviors, what they do here on earth. And that's such an uncomfortable prospect for some people. So let's come up with this other explanation that dispenses with God, and then our consciences will be free. And I think that's where the main driver of this is. The other thing to say about this is that evolution is not a science. Never mind what people say. Science is, I think it was Pearl that says, science is based on observable
evidences.
Okay? Nobody has ever seen evolution.
Nobody was there.
Nobody was there. Nobody has ever observed it. They talk about Charles Darwin, and he went to the Galapagos Island. He didn't see evolution at work. What he saw there, was just mere adaptation of the beaks of the finches being adapted to the kind of diet that they were eating. And even if you say that, they will say, well, what proof have you got for creation? But moving on from that, evolution actually has not added any benefit to humanity. None whatsoever. None. When you think of chemistry, for example, evolution as an area of study, okay? When you think of chemistry, you think of what has chemistry contributed to make life better for human beings?
Oh, huge.
Oh, you think of a lot of things.
Huge.
Think of pharmacy, the drugs, and so on and so forth. Think of engineering, the cars, the bridges we drive on, and roads and things like that. Well, what has evolutionary science got to say for itself? Okay? I cannot find one single benefit of evolution to us as human beings. Okay, so this is just an alternative explanation that people come up with to make their consciences feel better. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now, anybody else want to say anything? Okay. Yeah, okay. Is that your blazer?
Yes, this is the blazers right here.
Tell us a little bit about your truth.
How you doing? It's Mr. Ebo American.
You want to come here? You want to come here?
Sure. Can you come with me? Excuse me. Sure. How you guys doing? I have not really much to say, but yeah, these are the blazers. One Voice Applied, onevoiceapplied.com, ONE. VOICEAPPLIED.
Is it your creation?
This is actually my creation. We created them in Nigeria out of Ankara material. So, say it again. Say it again. Okay. No. It's actually a clothing. It's actually a clothing cloth. So we got just a different thing on it. We got the zipper right here. Just a difference, just to be a model. We got the logo right here, but we have just a different, kind of a unique collection of culture fashion that I'm trying to create. Basically,
and what was the message?
Fashion from the message for One Voice Applied is finding your culture. So where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? That everyone's voice needs to be heard, and culture is big. So we're trying to mix culture as far as American culture and Nigerian culture, whether it be European culture and American culture, whether it be Chinese culture and American culture. So we're just going from each culture to each culture to do different collections to mix people's personalities together and express it through fashion. So.
Okay, and so now going back to our question of today, which is, what are the truths that people explain away? What are the instances of alternative explanations that people give? In what are the examples that you could give?
I would say one example, a big example for me would probably be the media. Yeah, so
that's horrible.
Television.
Yeah.
Exactly, like basically America, the world depicts what you should be on television. So beauty comes from everything that we're watching. Television, which equals what tells lies visually. So basically a lie through the media, through the news, through social media. Everything's a lie that we should be this person. Everyone is looking into someone else's life to try to bounce that and have that be their life, when we should actually be looking at God to mesh our lives off of. So I feel like a big component for the truth would be media. Everyone has to watch media. It's like in our face propaganda on purpose. So I feel like that would be one big truth that is not a truth.
Yeah, and now they are calling it lies, something, what they call it, fake news or something.
Fake news. Yeah.
Yeah, media, and a lot of people live off the media.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Instead of living off the Word of God.
Exactly.
So media now is what mostly, in most countries, is responsible for the formation of culture and for the formation of worldviews. So a lot of the paradigms that we have in countries and nations today are no more coming from families. And they are no more coming from our pulpits. So a lot of our paradigm and worldviews are now being generated from the media. So who is behind the media? Some invisible elements that we don't even know who is selling those things to the media, or who is brewing those fake pseudo values that people are believing in. And that's why people are unruly. And people kind of adopt or adapt to anything that the television box is broadcasting to them. Mm-hmm. And that's why we must be above the media. We know that the truth that we are aligning our lives with is superior to media. It's coming from God himself. So that's why, the ultimate assignment for us is to make sure that we find out the truth, especially God's truth, and then we abide by that truth. Good.
Amen.
Thank you. Yeah. Give the microphone here. Here.
Should I come?
Yeah. No, you. Yeah. Because you need to look at the camera.
Okay. Okay, so I just thought of this now. I just remember this from somewhere that teenagers a lie that's constantly told is that us as teenagers, we are mindless and we
mindless.
Well, not really mindless.
I mean, like,
not matured enough, or
yeah,
not?
like we can't take control of our lives. We're too immature. We're not at that. And they never actually teach us the tools to become mature. They only say that we're not mature. So that's a lie.
That's a lie, because the truth is what then? The truth is what? What is the truth in this case?
The truth is that if we were given the materials to actually know how to do it, like for instance, if they gave us classes on how to do our taxes or how to save money and that, we would be able to use it and we would be able to apply it. But because I feel like they've past adults have made their mistakes and they don't want us to be like, I mean.
So you just need the information, the correct information, to be able to take the right decision.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to talk? Okay. Anybody want to talk there? You want to talk? Please. Thank you.
I'm just bouncing off of what Abiola and Kenny said, that in the world today, they're trying to sell the alternative explanation of, like, it's kind of like doublethink. It's kind of like when you try and put it in words, it's nonsense, but actually so many people think it. It's like, do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, because you're not going to come to anything anyway. And even evolution ties that in, and then the media selling all those things you can't achieve but are going to waste your time trying to achieve, all of that is tying it in. So, like, what the truth is, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and God has called us to be great, and if we fulfill all of His commandments, then we'll be the head and not the tail. And that's the truth, and that's what our lives are supposed to be. But what the world is selling is that you don't have to do anything. You just have to chase whatever you feel or something like that. And also that you don't have to be great. Yeah, nobody wants to be great. You can, like, dream of having some things, but don't do anything. Just live an average life and then just die. And then, like, that's the mentality of the world today. Like, they're, like, kind of pretending that, like, they're trying to give freedom or something, but actually the reality is they want everybody to act like animals. Then they'll put, like, some idols everywhere for them to worship and for them to, like, waste their time trying to become like. But actually, through those very idols, they'll tell you, see, you'll never be perfect. See, look at this perfect girl you see on TV. She has no blemishes. She's so skinny. Everybody loves her so much. And you'll try so hard and you'll never become like her. You'll waste so much time trying and you'll never become like her. And so just, why don't you just, like, stay obedient to the status quo and just live a life of nothing? Because you won't become anything. Just be our, like, mind slave. And I think that's the system that I see rising in the world today. But they're kind of denying it. They're saying, no, we just don't want to be old-fashioned. We just want everybody to have their own freedom. We'll show everybody all this junk and junk and junk, but they can do whatever they want. So, like what Abiola says, we won't give them the materials to develop themselves. We won't tell them they can be great. We'll just try to make animals that we can farm for ourselves, and then they can do whatever they can. Like, okay, maybe you've read the book 1984. Even if you haven't, I won't spoil anything, but there's this line that all the dictators use. Just as animals are free, the proles are free. Proles are just people that the party does. Yeah, proles, they don't have a life. They just have babies, and that's their only role. They're only there for the population to work and produce things, and that's it. And so, yeah, nobody's getting in their way. They're being born, they're growing up, they're getting married, they're having their entertainment, but they come to nothing, and that's what they're meant to do. Nobody's restricting them. Nobody's putting any limits on them, but in the end they're just like being treated just like animals. And that's the same thing in the world today. They say, do whatever you want, there's no God, there's nothing to strive for, we all just came from a big explosion, it's all just a chant, you know, you just do whatever you want. But by that, do whatever you want, by having no plan in life, that's how mistakes are made and people's lives come to nothing. And the world is using that everybody's acting like animals and only living by instincts and believing that they have nothing to do but follow what they feel, to get a mass of people that will consume whatever they're given and to just keep that going. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, now let's make it more practical. I'm going to try to make it a little bit more practical. I'm going to use my examples. So Paul has just paved the way for me, talking about the world system. The world system is rearing through media what I call the biomasses. Biomasses is a bunch of people all over the world that don't have goals and don't have to strive for anything exceptional. And Julie is here. She lived all her life in Western Europe. So there is nowhere where that has been established and you know, and prospered as much as Western Europe. So you just need to, you know, just it's like you are on an elevator or on a carousel, or what they call carousel, conveyor. Yeah, on a conveyor that convey, what they call it? Conveyor belt. On a conveyor belt that's just taking you. You are born, the conveyor belt is there. You are going to school, that's a conveyor belt. You finish from school, you go to work or you go to college, that's a conveyor belt. You don't need to strive. You don't need to aim high. You don't need to be passionate about anything too much. Just, you know, since we work out, you get a job, you know, you marry, you just, you know, that is the kind of people that the world is trying to breed now, the media and the world system. That's exactly very right what Paul was talking about. That's just the old picture, but it's been there in the West, you know, but it's going everywhere now. So the idea is that, especially for you black kids in Europe, okay, yeah, you know, don't worry. You go. We like to play football. Oh, can you run? We like to run. Oh, okay, don't worry. You go out of school. You can go and you go down. You don't need to. They don't want you to strive. They don't want you to dream. They don't want you to aim high, to dream big, to have any striking vision or something. You know, you go and play basketball. Maybe you go and you know, just be in the service. Just go and serve the system. You know, you go and work in the McDonald's and maybe then you get a job. That is the whole thing the world is trying to breed right now. But that is not the truth. And that's what I'm about to address. That is not the truth, and that must not be your reality. That must not be your dream. It must not be your dream, and it must not be your reality. So now, talking about myself, and this is one of the very great advantages of coming from Africa, especially coming from Nigeria. The Nigeria I used to know, where I grew up in, was a competitive nation. And that the Nigeria that I grew up in is a Nigeria that pushes you, everything there pushes you to strive and aim high, to be ambitious, and to dream to be the best. That is how I was able to have a dream of coming out from a village of 40 houses to, you know, to be the best in my field in the world, to rule my world, to lead my world. So all of you that are here, all you kids, listen closely. You should never believe that you are meant to just service the system, just to go and get a job, or just go and get a good job, or be well paid. That shouldn't be your dream. Your dream as kids will be to rule your world. You want to be in charge of the world for God. You want to rule your world for God. Don't you ever even believe that you could be the second best or that you will not be the very best anywhere and everywhere. So you should have it in your mind that you are here to manage the earth for God. Because the earth is coming from God. God created the earth. And he put you here to be the manager of the earth. This is coming from Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. God created the earth and said you should be in charge of it. So you are, every one of you have your own passion, your own area of interest, and God is going to help you to develop yourself in that particular area of interest. You are supposed to be in charge of that particular sphere of life and manage it for God and be in charge of it and rule the earth for God. So nothing less. So when the school system just tells you, okay, pick a profession here, maybe you are going to be a steward in the market or in the shop or in the restaurant, or you're going to sell, all those things. No, that's not your place. Because in England, I was talking with somebody in England who has kids, because she's living in an area, and they're telling her, your son is finishing college, he must go, he was finishing primary school. I think they have primary, secondary there. So you finish in primary school, then the only alternative those kids have is to go to the secondary school in the neighborhood, in that area. And that is the depressed area. That is the least area. That is the area. So these kids, these parents said, I want my kids to go to a premium primary school, secondary school, a grammar school. Say, what? No, don't even, nobody even from these schools, from all the schools, we have 10 schools in this borough, or 100 schools or whatever, nobody even talks about that kind of college. How come? How did that even come even to your mind? How did that even come to your mind? To go to college in that place? No. That's only for people from these schools. So there are some schools that can get to that particular college. But for people, schools in this area or schools of your level, they only go to these colleges. To these high schools. I hope that is not in America. I hope it's not the same. It's the same? Yeah. Oh! So you are forever condemned. That you only belong, you can only go to these schools, this level of schools. The top 10, the top secondary schools or high school, no, it's not for you. You just be happy that they will admit you here. You don't stand a chance over there. Can you believe it? I don't know what they call it. Maybe they have a system for it. Huh? Catchment. Catchment area, where you live. Hey, Shineke. So because you live there now, you are now condemned. I said even in Nigeria, thank God, as bad as Nigeria is, it doesn't get, I can be in my village and said I want to go to Ife, or I want to go to Unilag, or I want anywhere, or I want to go to any secondary school. As bad as Nigeria is, and people are talking about marginalization in Nigeria. I said marginalization, real one is in the West. You want to talk about marginalization? There is no marginalization here in Nigeria. Everything is free here. But there, they say you must have, okay, you must have, those historic secondary schools or grammar schools, you must have history, or you must be prepared specially to get there. There is no way you can pass, So those are not your truth. That you cannot get somewhere is not your truth. And it's not God's truth for you. You should never buy into that. That you only belong there, you only belong down there, or you only belong down here, you can never get there. It's not your truth. Because God's truth for you has said that you will be the head, and the head only. You will be the top, you will be the first, and first only. You are not supposed to be second, you are not supposed to be last, you are supposed to be only in the calling of the best. And thank God that Professor spoke to you people today, Professor Ibafidan. He knows what that is. And he's fighting against that kind of system. But you don't allow it in your mind. It's coming from your mind. You know that the truth is, and you remember what I told you yesterday, when they deny your truth, intensify. go aggressive. You know, you need to add aggression and intensity and go for it, and don't agree with whatsoever people are telling you. In my own case, let me tell you my story. First of all, I will start by telling you that when I was in the university, I came from Nigeria, and when I was in Nigeria, I was living in a village, very small village. And in that village, nobody speaks English. Even in the school, you don't speak English. They have English language as a class, but they don't speak English. You only have it as a class. So, but sometimes a teacher might come and say, no vernacular, only English. But nobody speaks it because everybody just keep quiet. So I never spoke English while I was in Nigeria. That's where I'm going to. So I never spoke English. Even though Nigeria is an English-speaking country, but I never spoke it. But I knew it in the head because I was going to the class, but I never spoke it. No practice, never spoke it. So when I got to Russia, even though I was always passing the exam, because in Nigeria, you didn't need to speak to pass. You just needed to write. So I was writing the exams, and I was passing. So I got a scholarship, one of the best in the country. So I came out of the country, but I never spoke English. Nobody could believe that. But but I still was one of the best in the country. So I got a scholarship to come here. So when I came here, because I didn't come on time, I was late. Because when I came here, I had a lot of problems. Because I had an admission to Columbia University in America. So when I came here, I saw Russia. I said, you're having ladder here and things like that. Even in Nigeria, they don't have ladder again. So I wanted to go back. So I lost 2 weeks. I wanted to quickly go back and go to America. So I lost 2 weeks in protesting in the hotel. Then they sent me to school. So by the time I got to the school, my class, which was the last class there, the last batch of foreigners to study the language, they had studied for 2 weeks. And they had studied the alphabet. And when you study the alphabet, it means they had started to read Russian language. And I didn't even know A, B, C in Russian language, nothing. So after 2 months of struggling to catch up with my classmates, the teacher just gave up on me. The professor said, you will never pass. You will never even pass this school, this language school. You will never be admitted into the university in Russia here. And you will never make it. You will never speak Russian language. You will never. In fact, he said, I don't believe in God. You say you believe. I said, God will help me. He said, God, forget about God. He said, God is helpless in this situation. God cannot help you. He said, because I'm the expert. God is not the teacher. I'm the teacher. And I'm telling you, I'm the teacher. I know. I'm telling you, as a teacher, I'm the one to pass you. There's just no way you pass. When a teacher, your own teacher who is supposed to pass you, says it's not God who's going to give you the mark, I'm the one to give you the mark, and you will not make it. That sounds very hopeless, because, so, how will you then make it? So I knew, but that was not God's position, because I knew, since I had decided to stay back to study here, and my scholarship in America was for August, and this was now October. I had lost that scholarship already, so I didn't have any way to go back. So I knew, God had to help me. So because how I knew that God had to help me was because I knew the truth of God, and God's truth was one. Before I left Nigeria, my sister had told me, and showed me the scripture in the Bible where it says, "You shall be the head and not the tail, first and not the last." So that is the truth. And whatever God says is the ultimate, is the supreme. So since I know that's what God said regarding me, I knew that whatever the teacher had said is not the truth. So you have to know how to war and fight with your truth. So you have to know how to, when doubts come to you, how to stand strong in your truth. When people explain away your truth and give you their own proofs and evidences why you cannot make it, you still have to know how to stand strong in your own truth, firm in that truth, and war with it. So the principles of warring with your truth is what I gave you yesterday. So I'm not going to repeat those. So at the end of the day, because I did not compromise with that truth of God, So you have to be firm in your own truth. Don't just, so these things, whenever you read the Bible, or you come to church, or your parents tell you some truth, don't just know them in the head, or just be frivolous about them, because you will need them. For example, my sister told me that scripture. She showed it to me in Deuteronomy 28 verse 13, and she spoke to me about it, that I could be the head and not the tail, even if I was coming from that village of 40 houses. So if I had just been playing around when she was talking and I didn't pay attention, it wouldn't have helped me later on in life. I would have been damaged and defeated. But because I didn't just hear her say that, I took it seriously. I took it seriously that it is true, because this is the word of God. So I was established in my truth, in the truth that I am the head and I'm not the tail, and that I will be the head and not the tail. So no matter the professor and his status and his authority, he couldn't shake me, because I knew God is bigger than any professor. Why am I telling you guys this example? You will need it. There will be so many pressure. There will be so many times that people that you respect, or people who are supposed to be your guardians, or people who are supposed to be your teachers even, will come up with alternative arguments to try to crush your faith. To cut the long story short, because I stood on that, you remember I told you yesterday that I would go after classes to the library to read for 6 more hours after school. Well, that was one of the ways I was fighting, and I was fighting for my truth and in my truth. So it was not enough to just pray to God and say, God, come help me. Your word has said this. But I needed to walk it through as well. So I was fighting for that truth, by working hard, and on the basis of truth, by being diligent and hardworking. So by the end of the year, I was one of the best. I was actually the best student of that professor. And he didn't have any option than to give me the mark, because nobody did better than me. So he couldn't, even though in fact, he actually said, if you will ever pass this class or this school, I will go to I'm an atheist, I'm a communist, I don't believe in God, but if you ever pass, I will go to church and burn a candle for you. Because, which is like, he said to him, that was an abomination. Something that never should be done. But if you will pass, I will know there is a God somewhere. So I will go and put a candle. And I passed. And I became not just pass. I didn't just pass. There was nobody better than me in the school. So what am I trying to say? When people tell you, when people try to explain away your truth, war with your truth. Fight with your truth. And produce better results, and let the results speak for you. Let me give you another example of myself. For a long time, and I think today, thanks to the internet and to the exposure that I started having of late, I think more people are getting to know of Pastor Sunday and of Ukraine and what I've done. Not too many people still, but some people have gotten to know. But before now, less people knew. And the people who knew, some of them had excuses for my success. Okay, for example, when I used to travel, and they will see the video about our church and what we have done, and some people will say things like this. Well, it is because Pastor Sunday is able to do that because he's in an Eastern European country. The Eastern Europeans, they didn't know anything about God. They were atheists, communists, so they just saw the gospel for the first time and they became excited. That's why he has a big church. Then other people will say, well, it's because they've never seen black men, so all of them came to see black men. That's why he has a black church. I mean, he has a big church. Other people say, well, he's just lucky. Other people say, well, it's because there are not too many churches there. Other people, all kind of explanation. We use alternative explanations. Remember that word. Whenever people confront the truth, they either submit to the truth, and because of human pride, not everybody is ready to submit to the truth. But they begin to give downplay your truth and give alternative explanations. But now, you people who now know me, and I'm now speaking not in Russian language, but in English for people to understand, I think it is now more easier or more easily explainable that there is a logic behind Pastor Sunday's success. Not just because they've never seen black men before. And it's hard work. Most of you now know my work ethic more, and you now know my principles. I tell you, all those same principles, if they are applied in any country, it's going to be the same results. But I was trying to tell people before that, but they couldn't just understand. But now, when they listen to and they see my intensity and my work level, and they see me coming out 2 times a day on Facebook every day, and they see the principle that I'm teaching. In fact, people who even told me before that Nigeria, forget about Nigeria. Nigeria is hopeless. You can never make a difference. You can never make a difference in Nigeria. After they started listening to my messages and started reading my book, they said, now we believe you can do it. You see, people are always going to have an explanation for whatever truth you come with. People are going to come and say, for example, when I was in my village, all my teachers were saying I was dull. And I myself knew that we were poor. While in Nigeria, the only explanation I knew for my own poverty and for our family's poverty and our community's poverty was that we were not lucky. So that, from my culture where I grew up, they will always talk about destiny, God, fate, favor of God, God's selection, destiny. That God's favor has not come to your own area, or God has not smiled at you. But they never told me that life is governed not by God's good wish or bad wish, and not by God's mood and temperature that day. That is not the weather that decides God's temperature, and it's not God that decides who's going to smile at and who is not going to smile at. They never told us that there are actually principles that are responsible for life results. So nobody ever told me that there are more logical explanations to success and failures. We just thought that everything is in the hand of God. So it means it's not in his interest to make you successful. Or you have not prayed enough. Or your time or your turn has not come. So that is those things. And when I was growing up, I was watching all our own plays, films, local films and songs. You know, people sing. I was hearing songs like in my own Yoruba language. There is a very good song I used to like so much. So they used to say Ori mi Ori something about Ori. You don't know it? Okay, that is destiny. It is destiny. Ori mi Ori something. It is Ori. Something. It is. Ori lomo da. What was it? Ori lomo lola. Ori lomo la. Via macha lola lola. Ori. Something. What was it? I can't pick the words again. But yeah. Boya ma do lola lola ori lomo. That is only your I don't. What does it mean? You can explain it.
That means your destiny knows if you're going
Yeah, destiny. Only the destiny knows and decides. So you just say, So you are just at the mercy. Yeah, you are at the mercy. So you are just at the mercy of destiny and everything. Because, you know, people don't have better explanation. People explain away everything. So that kind of thing, you know, makes people to be looking for favor. You know, even up to today, people come on my platform and said, we are looking for destiny helper or something, what they call it. Okay, pastor, you are my destiny helper. Okay, good, not bad. Good. No, but it has become a concept that somebody has to help you. There must be somebody to lift you. There must be somebody, not principles. Oh. So your destiny is now hinged to another person's mercy or another person's favor. Or even though that is exception. Yeah, God could use people, but that is not the order. That is an exceptional, as an exception. God will use people, but don't rely on that. Do your best. Do your best. Follow the principles. Follow truth. So that is what things they don't tell us sometimes. That, you know, abide by the principles. Follow the principles. So the kids, I mean, you kids, what I'm telling you is, don't believe any explanation. That is why you cannot make it, because of this thing. That's why it will not happen. Okay, for example, when I was growing up, I just believed it. It's not my destiny to be wealthy or to be successful. It is, you know, we have to wait for destiny, something to happen. You know, don't believe that. Believe what God has said. You will be the head and not the tail. You will be first and not last. God is on your side. God has created you to manage the earth. You are going to be in charge. You just need to study. You need to grow. You need to discover things you don't know. You need to, you know, to follow certain principles in life. And then you will be able to become anything you want in life. Don't let anybody put you down. Just like I used to have a teen, maybe 10 years ago, I had a teen, something, HMT like this here. And there were a lot of boys from in England that time. And all these boys, all of them were dreaming of becoming footballers or singers. Either singers or footballers or actors. I said, so no more profession in the world? Because that's what they have directed them to. Only things that are connected to talents. Naturally, you know, visible talent, but not to rule. Not to take over England. Not to rule over the nation. Just something to entertain other people. So don't agree. Don't let people explain away your destiny, your truth. Yes, please. You have a question? Please give her the microphone. Let Abiola ask a question. Yes, please. It's on.
What do you mean by when you say rule over the nation?
Rule over a nation?
Yeah.
Okay, you come and explain. You know what that means?
All right.
Paul will help you out with that one. She wants to rule over the world, not just nation.
Yes. I want to rule over the world. Well, okay. So God, when he created the world, he made the earth and the stuff on it, and then he created man. And he put him there to tend to the earth, so to take care of the ground and to name all the animals, to take care of what he had created. And today, we're still humans, and our purpose hasn't changed.
Yes?
We're the salt and light of the earth, especially because the world has been corrupted by a sinful culture. We have to go into the earth, and we have to promote God's principles. But maybe it's sad because we're lazy, but we're not supposed to promote it just anyhow. It says in Deuteronomy 28:13 that we're the head and not the tail. And Jesus and all the apostles showed us clearly that when we go somewhere, we're going to subdue the land through
the nation upside down.
Yeah, through the kingdom of God. So the kingdom of God, it's a metaphor, but it's a really good metaphor because what the kingdoms do, they conquer. And the kingdom of God, God created the whole universe. So basically, as Christians, we should be rulers of the whole universe. So if we're here, then there shouldn't be any influence in our area that's bigger than God's influence. So ruling over England may not mean that they lead an armed invasion or that they take up all the seats in Parliament, though that would be really cool, wouldn't it be? Like, guys, seriously, wouldn't it be? English people complain about the government so much. Anyway.
Bring the answer to them.
Yeah, it just means that in whatever you do, you dominate it so much that, you know, oh yeah, it says in the Bible that, like, live so that other people, that even the Gentiles, live a life among the pagans so much that they will see and glorify the Lord God because of it. That's what it means. You just have to be the ruler in everything you do. Even if, okay, you're called to become a singer, of course, many people are called to become singers, but not just like, yeah. If you're called to be a singer, if God has called you to be a singer, God called you to do it. You gotta be big. You've gotta. You're like
the size of the person who called you.
Yeah. So because England right now, it's under the control of the world, it's under the control of the flesh, but we are from the spirit. We have to be bigger than that, and we have to be stronger than that.
So that means any area you are, if you are from England, if you have passion for music, or producing music production, for example, you are going to be so good that you are going to be #1 there. That way you are ruling over that sphere of life. If it's politics, that's where your passion is. So you are so good and influential politically that you rule over the politics of that land. Or maybe education, maybe science, or maybe medicine. Just anywhere you see yourself in, and when you become the best there, you rule over that sphere of life. Yeah. So, yeah, what time is it? Yeah, I think it's about time for me to...
I had a quick question.
Okay, please.
I seen
No, wait for the mic first.
Yeah, I seen a video about you saying something about we have to serve man first. How do you feel like we should do that if the only man we could serve is not serving God?
Oh yeah, no problem. We can serve all men. Either they serve God or they don't serve God. For example, in Ukraine here, when I came here, all of them virtually nobody was a believer, maybe a few people. But I was serving them, and because I served them, they became believers. And then, not just that, but what better way for me to reveal the nature of God, if not to go and serve? Then they'll be able to, even if I'm serving as a slave, like Nehemiah, when he was serving in the palace of the king as a slave boy, the slave saw the glory of God in him, and then he was released into his destiny. Same with Esther, with all kind of Ezra, all kind of people in the Bible. Same with Joseph, same with Daniel. So when we serve, if the Bible actually said that we can never be in charge or be trusted to be in charge of our own territory until we've proved faithful in another man's territory or in another man's vision. So that means it's also teaching us that when I'm going to be serving another person, while I'm serving that other person, there are some things that I might need to learn. I might need to learn some skills because some people have gone ahead of me. They know some things better. So while I'm serving them, while I'm working under them, it's just a temporary thing. I don't need to wait for them to release me or anything, but I know that I'm serving them right now so that I will have the right heart. I'll be able to gain the right heart to serve, the right of a slave, of a servant. Because if I just want to lead and rule, and I never had the heart to serve, then when I become a leader, I will not be serving. I will be dominating. So, but before I become a leader, that's why it's definitely necessary that I learn to serve first, to become a servant first. Then when I become a leader, I'm a servant leader because I already learned how to become a servant. So that's on one hand. So, but while I'm serving, I'm not just getting the right heart, but I'm also getting the skills and experience from who I'm serving. So, because when I get that experience and skills, just like when David was serving as a shepherd boy, he never knew that would be needed for him to shepherd a nation. Or like Moses, when he went to be a shepherd for his father-in-law, you know, he never knew he was going to shepherd a whole nation. So, but that process of shepherding gave him the skills necessary to now become the shepherd of a nation, the shepherd of Israel. So, you know, yeah, there is a lot of sense and a lot of wisdom in learning to serve people. Because if you don't learn to serve people, you will later dominate people. And if you ever become a leader. So, you know, it's a balance kind of thing. And there is a process in life. So just like we have to go through school, also we need to go to a process of, you know, being faithful in little and being faithful in something that belongs to other people. And then God will be able to trust us with something big. Yes, please.
Because there is a misconception. Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Nikki. There is a misconception concerning what you just said, that you must be faithful in the little, because this is the statement that most men of God used to captivate those under them. They say, you must serve me. You are in this church. You don't have any vision. And until you serve me, when the Holy Ghost reveals to me, that is when you are set free. Yeah, so can you elaborate on that, or say the difference between the serving you mean and this captivation, or what will I say, that men of God used to confuse people? The difference.
I didn't know they used that too.
They use it.
Okay, even if they use that, you must be faithful in little. Faithful in little doesn't have anything to do with church. That is what you must know. When the Bible was talking about this in Luke chapter 12, I think, it didn't say in church. So faithful in little is a principle of life. Because everything starts small before it becomes big. So my faithfulness in little, even in my own house, even in my own personal business, my faithfulness in little prepares me to be trusted with much. It doesn't have to be under somebody, but those are two principles. Actually, Jesus mentioned three principles. Faithfulness in little, that one is regarding what I do everywhere. And everywhere I am, I must try to be, you know, not to despise little things. I must always try to be as responsible for little things as well as big things. Because the way you do small things, that is eventually how you do big things. If you are nonchalant to little things and small things because they are small and you are despising it and you just do anyhow, by the time you are trusted with something bigger, unknowingly it's recorded in your subconscious that is the only way you know how to act and how to do things. You will end up doing things that of higher responsibility, of bigger things, even the same way you are doing the little things. You are just the same. You are going to be the same. You are who you are. You are going to be the same everywhere. Because that's why great responsibilities don't come to people who have not proved to be highly responsible in little things. That's what Jesus was trying to say there. It doesn't have to be in church. I don't know why people connect that with church. It's the same thing in your home, in your job, in your work. Just like if you don't study well in primary school, you never get to university, or high school, you don't get to some. So it's the same thing everywhere. It's just a principle of life that must be applied. Should that be applied in church? Maybe yes, but it's not. It doesn't apply just to church. It's just a principle of life. Same thing with being faithful over somebody else, another man's thing. That is also a principle of life. If another man's stuff could be your parents' stuff. Another man's stuff could be your boss's stuff. Another man's stuff could be your pastor's stuff or your church stuff. But being faithful there doesn't mean that it is the man, it is your responsibility. So for example, if I'm being faithful in my boss's stuff, it's my right to call it off when I want to. But it is my own decision to come to the faithful under you. My decision. So I'm not waiting for your permission to let me go. Or to, it's my knowledge. It is my revelation that I need this. This will help me. If I say I'm going and you say I'm not ready, I could still go. Because I came by myself. I walk in free will to come and show faithfulness to you. But it might not be under you, it might be under another person. It might not be in the church, it might be in the world. In fact, as a matter of fact, that faithfulness in little should be better, in another man's business, should be better demonstrated actually in business. Or in areas where there is high demand. Because in church, it's more of volunteering. But it should be something in a place where there is a demand, more professional demand on you. So where you have to answer for it, either with your salary or with your being fired or with something. So where you really, that's where we are more responsible. But if you go there though with your consciously, that you are going there to really be faithful in another person, you don't even need control, you don't need monitoring, because it's coming from your understanding. So these are principles that should be applied by an individual himself. You could be taught by the pastor could explain to you that this is good for you. But he has to explain to you so that you will like to do it. But if you are now being dominated through it, or manipulated through it, or being subjected, that is against the whole fundamental principle of God. God said you can have dominion over everything else, but not over man. So once any system that tries to dominate you is already antichrist system. So that is not Christian at all. You have to pack your load and immediately leave. It could be a pastor, it could be a business or a boss at work. Anything that attempts to reduce you, that attempts to reduce your humanity, or attempts to make you as if you are nothing, that you don't have the right to be there, because it is against the nature of God. Because God, anybody that tries to subject you, they are subjecting the God in you, because you are a carrier of God, and the nature of God and the image of God is in you. So it is nobody is having the power enough to put you under, subject you, and oppress you. That's why, it says that, Jesus said it, that people in the world who are leaders, they rule by subjecting and oppressing people under them. He said, but for you it must not be so, because it's wrong. God doesn't permit for that. That's why when you look at the Bible, you will see that the disciples of Jesus will lie on him, on his bosom. They will hug each other. They will lie even there. I'm a pastor, I'm sitting down, you come and lie on me. What's wrong with you? But with Jesus, that's the way it happened. So it means that's the kind of liberty and freedom that they had. They didn't see themselves as oppressors or superiors. They see themselves as ladders and as bridges to really help lift up others. Wow. Anybody want to speak?
Yeah, then get up.
My leg broken. No, I had one more question. It had to do with what you were saying.
The camera is not picking you up. The camera needs to be able to pick you.
Hey, okay. Camera. I had one more question. It had to do with what you were saying. Well, I know in the Bible it says respect your elders and respect honor your mother and father. You live a long life, right? So I would say, what if your parents are the ones that are oppressing you? For example, like a Cinderella story or something like that. You guys know the movie Cinderella, or the story Cinderella. What if it's like your parents, someone that God actually told you to honor because you will live a long life, because you have to respect them because they're your elders and you're your parents, but they are the ones oppressing you? What are you supposed to do? They're the ones belittling you and making you feel like you are nothing. What are you supposed to do in a situation like that?
Okay, very good. Very, very good. there are two things. When it comes to your parents, the number one thing with the parents is that because we live in a legal society, and in a legal society, there is something that is called adulthood and children. So if you are a child before 18, in most countries it's 18. Before you are 18, you are under the responsibility of your parents in most countries. And that means that you need your parents' permission to do most things. Or alternatively, it could mean that your parents are responsible for you. That means they are responsible for your food, for your housing, for your daily life and survival. So as long as you are under the authority of your parents, as long as you are under the protection or covering, or you are under, you are being supported by your parents, you don't even have any right to question them. Because if you could question them, then support yourself. It's not fair. So if they are supporting you, if they are taking responsibility for you, they're giving you the house and the food and everything, and you say you have an opinion, you are not a serious guy. If you want to have an opinion, first of all, support yourself. So if you are under the authority of your parents and they are supplying everything, they are doing everything for you, you listen to them. That's just the basic thing there. But if you are already independent, because before you are independent, if you are under your parents and they are doing everything for you, it is most likely that many times you will think that whatever they are telling you to do is oppressive, or that they are wrong. That happens to all of us, especially in the teenage years. I thought like that many times. You will never know if your parents have your best interest in mind or not. But let me tell you, after I've lived to be a child and to be a teenager and to be an adult, I know for sure that those people who gave birth to you, they have your best interest in mind. Because they went through so much to give birth to you, and they know how much they went through to make you who you are today. There is no other person who has your best interest in mind like them. They are not your oppressors, they are your protectors. But because of the fact that they might be seeing the world a little bit differently from the way you are seeing it, and they might not actually be seeing what you are seeing, they might be overprotective sometimes. And being overprotective might mean as if they are putting constraints around you. And those constraints around you, they are going to be interpreted by you as control and as limitation. But in their own mind, they are thinking protection. And in your own understanding, you are thinking restraint. And what did I say? What is the other? Oppression or limitation. You might think it's limitation and oppression. But really, every single parent is having the best interest of his own child at heart. But then there is a stage where that shifts. When the parents are no more responsible for your day-to-day maintenance and support, when you are on your own, so how do you still fulfill that commandment to honor your father and mother while you are away, you are on your own, and they are really not responsible for you anymore? Yes, you still have to maintain, you still have to keep that commandment, but in a totally different way than when you are under them. So now that you are supporting yourself, you are working, you are in charge of your life, that honor and the conditions of honor all now comes to your jurisdiction and prerogative. What does that mean? Before you were independent, it is all, the onus is on your parents. And it is all their jurisdiction, and it is also their prerogative. They dictate the terms of honor. I don't know if you're getting it. So they lay down the terms of honor, how you honor them. And whatever they say, you have to obey. But when you are independent, they don't have, that shifts. The terms and prerogative of honor comes to you now. You now decide how you honor them. So you are no more listening to them like you were when you were before 18, when you were under them. But you are listening to, you are hearing what they are saying, but you take the decision how you will obey what they are saying and honor them. But you still have to honor them, but more coming from your understanding of that honor. I don't know if that is clear enough. Oh, that's tough. Huh? It's tough for parents. Parents don't recognize. Parents still want to keep. Now the battle now is the parents still want to maintain the domineering control they were having before he's 18, and they will keep on. But then it comes to control or domination, which is what Paul was talking about when he says, parents, don't provoke your children, because that leads to provocation. But it is actually at a point where parents now should recognize and realize that if they are taught the kids well, the kids will still come back to honor them without them controlling those kids. So they must let the, what do you call this, that the horse, the horse, the saddles, the reins of the horse go. Just let the reins, leave the reins, give up the reins. That is what the parents are supposed to learn to do. Most parents never really learn to do that. That's where the problem is. But then, you as a kid, you have your liberty and freedom. You take your decisions, and then you take, including the decision to honor your parents, the way you understand it or the way you have been taught. Yes, sir. Microphone, please.
If this person was talking about, truth and the society or the world's explanation of the truth, where does 18 come from?
The world.
I think as parents, you sometimes feel in certain instances that 18 is too young.
Is the microphone? Okay, closer a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that 18, where is it coming from? And
from the society.
From the society. and as Christians, to what degree do we implement that? To what degree do we implement that? I'm looking at some situations.
I think maybe I shouldn't have included the 18. I think I should have just leave out the part that I said, if they are still under your, because you could still be 25 and they're still paying for your school fees. Or you could still be 25 and they're still living in your house. So as long as they are still under your supervision or care, then they pull the trigger. I think that would be the balance of it. Come there. Go.
Well, I'm just happy at that suggestion too. I mean, I think that's a very good observation you have, that 18 isn't a number given to us specifically by God. It's from the world. But, you know, Pastor Bose came here earlier and she taught us that as young people, right now is our time to prepare for when we will be adults, to learn to set goals and to achieve them and to go towards them. And right now we have so much because of all the people around us waiting on us that we can use to grow and learn to achieve more. So I think that maybe 18 is good just as like a challenge, because before your children reach 18, you have to challenge yourself. You have to take them from the completely helpless and pampered, you know, very unintelligent human being that they're going to start with to a person that can support themselves and cook for themselves, and maybe support themselves, like get a job, because they'll be going off to university. So, right. 18 is the number that we got because of the world's institutions, because of schools, and because, you know, of a system that isn't perfect. But I think that that this is one of those cases, like
starting point, yeah?
And I mean, I think this is one of those cases, like sometimes people would ask Paul, like
orientation.
I know. I'm just saying that I don't think that it's. So I think that we should just use that to our advantage, yeah, even if it's from the world. For example, like Paul said something about meat markets, like they're selling, the pagans are selling the meat that they use for their sacrifices. Is that okay? And he was like, it doesn't matter. You're not worshiping Satan by eating the meat. Why don't you just use the energy you got from that meat to do God's will? And I'll say the same thing about the age 18. If your child is really immature and you can keep him at home, like if your child really still needs help and you can, and he needs to like stay at home with you because like what needed to be done doesn't need to be home, then of course what needed to be done that wasn't done, then of course keep him at home. But if that chance has already been missed, he has to go to university now, he has to leave the house now, then you know you have to pray, you have to try it, but you know, God, time and chance happens to everyone. So I think we should just take that as a challenge, like, okay, maybe, so then if 18 is when it's going to happen, then all right, before 18, make sure our children have a foundation in God. Make sure that they know how to cook and that they know what, you know, yeah, and that they know what we're learning here now, to stand firm in their truth and to see themselves the right way. So, but thank you for that insight very much too.
Yeah, thank you for the insight. You great answers, honestly. I would say the 18 thing, I would say, to be honest, what is really getting someone ready? Because really in the society, it's really like we kind of include maturity with money. Like money is equal to maturity. So if you're 12 years old and you're a millionaire, then you can take care of yourself. You just could pay someone else to take care of you in your own house. So how would we, the thing that we maybe have to figure out is what are the morals that a child needs to be able to take care of himself on his own. So if every parent knew that and instilled that into their kids before they were 14 or before they're 18 or before a certain age, then we would be for sure that they would be able to take care of themselves. But not every parent does that, so we would never know, because it's like, especially Nigerian parents, it's just looking at you like, how much money are you making? How much money, you know? So that's what it really is. I hope you guys understand me. Yeah. Okay. That's about it.
I want to say something. Sorry. Yeah. What I want to say is, you know, some children, especially when they're like 14, 15, they can't even handle money. When you give them money, they just spend it anyhow. I've seen examples, but I'm not going to mention names anyway. Once you put it in the bank, before you look, it's gone. So that kind of a person, even if you say, go and read, money won't make you rich. He will be saying, oh, mom, I can't be, Dad, I can't be, I can't be, okay, I'll read it tomorrow. So what are you going to do in that? Because you can't leave that kind of a child at 18, because it's going to blow up, all the money. So how can you, I mean, what can you say about that?
Chris, mapping all the kids. He's the smartest. 11 years old.
I've seen this becoming a battle now. It's interesting for me, and I'd like it to go on. But I think everything has a lot to do with rights and responsibility. So once you have some sort of right to do something, you also have responsibility that goes along with it. So for both parents and also both the young people, that they feel like at a certain age, they're mature enough. Every maturity or every independence that you have, it comes with a lot of responsibility, and you have to be equipped in order to take on those responsibility. In terms of parents that are saying at a certain age, or maybe your child can't do anything, the onus is on you when they are still under you to train them in order to be able to do those things, and trust your training as well. You cannot actually raise children for 18 years for a period of time and you don't have any fruit or any confidence in those children that you've raised. You must have some sort of confidence because you've done a good job. A lot of the young people say here that they're capable, from what I'm hearing, that they're capable. And if they're not capable, it's because they don't have the tools. So what they're asking for is the tools from a very early age, such as this. This is a tool where you're bringing them to HMT to learn. This is a tool, and it's a good tool. But it's not the only tool. There's many facets to life. And the quicker you start to teach them the things that they need to know, and not kind of like wrap them cotton wool so that they can be in your home forever, or you benefit from them being around and being your children, the better for you too, and the sooner they will start to take on responsibility. But it is important also for these young people to know that any independence that you have, any freedom that you have, it comes with a lot of responsibility. And those responsibilities is really huge.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay. Joy.
I've also found something that you've said, and like the faster you're this more straightforward, and the faster your children learn, they have a stronger foundation than other children. And my sister told me one day, if you fail to prepare to fail. And so you need to prepare your children for the future, otherwise you will not no benefit. Like my mum as an example, her mum was straightforward with her and taught her the right things, and now her mum can benefit that she's got a good family. She can pay for her mum's stuff and stuff like that.
Brilliant girl. Wow. Amazing. No joy. Joy. Queen Anastasia. Joy. Beautiful girl. Wonderful. Wow. Well, the time is up, long up. And especially when you are dealing with kids, I always want to end up earlier. Well, I'll be with you tomorrow, I think 3 times. So get ready. God bless. Life. Okay. I want to talk to you kids today about the 7 vital questions of life. The 7 vital questions of life. Do you know what vital is? No. Okay, some people don't know, so let me reconstruct that. Let me say that in a different way. Let me call it the 7 most important questions of life. Is that much clearer now? 7 most important questions of life. Let me even try to make it easier for you. Let me try to make it even easier for you. So 7 most important questions of life, or you could say 7 questions that every person must answer to be fulfilled in life. 7 questions every person must answer to be fulfilled in life. You know what it means to be fulfilled? Okay. You remember the first day that we spoke? And I asked most of you what you are here for. And most of you said you want to find out why you are here and what you are here for. So this is the beginning of that answer. To help you answer that question, why you are here in the world, what for, that's why you must be aware of these 7 crucial questions of life. Now, it might surprise you, but the truth is, a lot of adults have not answered these questions. There are a lot of people who are living in this world who are your teachers or your parents who still don't have answers to these questions. To make it worse, some of them, maybe like 80% of the people in the world, have never even come across these questions. Talk less of answering them. So most people in our world have never heard of the questions that I'm about to ask you today, of the topic that I'm about to talk to you about. So you better wake up and really be serious about today's class, because you might not have the second opportunity to hear it unless you take it serious. You could go throughout your life and not discover the answer to these questions, and not even hear about them. Now, then the question comes to your mind that then, why does it matter? At least people somehow exist and make it and live without answering the question. So, if 80% of the world is living without having answers to these questions, maybe I could as well get by. Good idea, good thought. But you see, one thing with life is, it's not just about living, but about the quality of life. How many of you know that dogs are living too? But they don't sleep on your bed, isn't it? They sleep on the floor. Well, there are some people who are living just like dogs are living, maybe worse than dogs. And so a lot of things are living. But it's not about living that matters, it's about what you are making of that life. Have you ever heard of people committing suicide? Yeah. Well, they were alive before they decided to commit suicide. And do you know the reason why they commit suicide? Because they don't like the life they are living. And you know the reason why people live like dogs or like animals or like pigs or like cats? Because they have not answered these questions. You want to know the reason why people want to kill themselves and take their lives and die? Most of the time, of course, there are situations where people are traumatic, or they got trauma, or they got some mental situation, or they got depression. But most of the time, it's because they've not answered these questions. These 7 questions. Okay? Let me ask you another question. Have you ever heard of people, or have you ever heard of the word happy? You heard of the word happy? Have you ever experienced happiness? Yes. Okay. So if there is happiness, do you know that there is the opposite of happiness? What is the opposite of happiness? Sadness or unhappy? Yeah? Okay. Well, people can live in the world and not know these questions and not answer the questions, but they will not be happy. They will have unhappiness. Not happiness, but unhappiness. So, which one do you want to have in your life? You want to have happiness or unhappiness? I can't hear your answers. Happiness. Happiness? You think happiness is better than unhappiness? Yes. So you want happiness? Yes. Well, I assure you that these 7 questions will definitely help you to find out about happiness and how to be happy in life. Also, I told you that a lot of people live like animals, and they are alive just like animals are alive, but they are not doing too much better than the animals. Which one do you want to have? You want to live an animal life, or you want to live a human life? Human life. Well, that's why you need these questions. To not just to be known by you, but to also be answered. Because many of you have been having less sleep this week than you've ever had in your life before. So I'm going to make this session very practical for us. So many times I'm going to ask you to stand up. Sometimes I'm going to ask you to talk. But I'm going to be making you to be involved in this teaching today so that you don't go to bed on me. So 7 questions, 7 vital questions of life, of 7 questions that every human being must answer to live a fulfilled life. So the first of those questions is, who am I? I wrote a whole book on that. Who am I? Who am I? Anybody has ever seen my book? Who am I? You've seen it before? Okay. So, what is the first question I said is the most important question?
Who am I?
Who am I? Not all of you said it. 2 of you answered. Who was the first question I said is the most important question? Who am I? So let me go, before I begin to explain that to you, let's start from you. Let me start by asking you, what do I mean by who am I? What does that question mean? Does anybody want to attempt to answer the question? Who am I? Okay. What's your name again? Joy. Come here, Joy. You are the active Joy. Energetic, brilliant. Yeah, come on here. Who am I? Yes, that's it.
Who am I is the question, like, what kind of person are you?
Okay.
And
that's good. What kind of person? Good. You want to help? Okay. Here we go, Sadie. Cindy. Sadie. Okay. Sadie.
who am I is who you are meant to be in life, who God put you, who you are supposed to be, the purpose of why God put you here on earth.
Brilliant. Let's clap for her. She got it just right. Who am I means what you are supposed to be doing here on earth. Yeah? Anybody wants to help? Anybody wants to give an answer to that? Okay. Fast. So who am I?
Who am I concerns what is my identity, what exactly is the reason for my existence, and what differentiates my existence and my presence here from the presence of every other living thing or every other human. What am I specifically as myself only?
Okay. Yes, you use one word there, which is very crucial. Who am I is the question of identity. Identity. What do you people understand by the word identity? Yes. There's Sydney now. Sydney, similar. I remember Sydney because she was here before. Yes, so identity. What is identity? Yeah. Thank you.
Identity is basically someone's personality or what somebody looks like or what you use to identify somebody.
Okay. Say they want to help you now.
Identity is your physical appearance.
Physical appearance. Okay. Will everybody agree with that? No, not you yet. Let's take someone else.
I think identity is more than like who you are physically. I think it's who you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and like how you understand yourself as your own person and how other people can relate to you based on how you think and how you feel and what you do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, anybody want to contribute to that? What is the question of identity? Yes, please.
Identity is what separates you from everybody else, what's make everyone an individual.
Okay.
Because we're all technically human, we can all be easily separated into categories, but what makes each and every one of us unique and single human personalities, individuals.
Okay, categories like what?
Categories like boys, girls, children, teenagers, adults, elderly, or like whatever job you do. Like they're the workers, or they're the singers, they're the writers.
So your identity is what?
No, that's why we need identity. That categories are not our identity.
Okay.
Identity is what makes every human being individual and separate from the categories. So you can say even though this person is a worker and a girl and dark skinned, you can describe them and everything. That won't be their identity. It's just what we use to recognize them visually. But our identity isn't visual because our physical appearance can change.
Sorry?
Our physical appearance can change and it's always changing, so we're always growing. So identity is more than just physical. And like she said, it's like spiritual, emotional, and everything. But it's what we do, what we're known for, is identity.
Okay.
Like that girl said about purpose.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else want to contribute to that? Or that's enough? Okay. So, who am I is a question of identity. But as much as that is correct, let me give you a better definition or a better help in finding out or in actually defining and getting to understand the question of who am I. I said there are 7 most important questions in life, right? The first question is the question of who am I, which is the question of identity. But it's more than the question of identity. It is also the question of self-consciousness. So now let me ask you, what is self-consciousness? Who wants to help me? Who wants to answer that? Okay. Okay, take the microphone. Not just identity. On one hand, the question of who am I is a question of identity. But to even make it more personal and more explanatory, I'm giving you even a wider, another word, which is the question of identity and self-consciousness. So what is self-consciousness?
Self-consciousness is being aware of yourself, being aware of how people look at you, being aware of your state, of your place in where you are, being aware of the amount of impact that you have, being aware of how your decisions affect others, and how much of an influence you have.
Okay, now some of the things you said are right, but some of them are not totally right. You said self-consciousness is being aware of yourself. Yes, that's correct. But you also said of how people look at you or think of you. So no, self-consciousness doesn't concern anybody right now. Self-consciousness is about you I said that you are about to fall asleep, so you come here and let me help you out. You help me illustrate the question. So you didn't have enough sleep, I'm sure, right? Yeah, it's bad, it's bad. I don't know if they warned you from home. HMT is not merciful. It's always like that. They don't give you enough sleep. They don't give you enough sleep. Well, let me help you here. When you're standing, it will be more difficult for you to sleep. So we're standing together. And so the question of self-consciousness is the ability for you to be able to be aware, to live in the awareness of yourself. So you are not flying in the air, you are not sleeping while you are walking, and you are not sleeping while you are eating. You are not sleeping. When I'm talking sleeping, I'm not saying when he's sleeping physically, like him sleeping just now. But when I say sleeping, I mean you are not sleeping through life. You are not daydreaming. You are not walking unconsciously. You know, we do a lot of things unconsciously. Like, you wake up, you feel like going to the toilet, you go to the toilet, you don't need to think so much about that. You feel like wearing your clothes, you wear your clothes. Those things are things we do automatically, unconsciously. But the question of who am I is a question of identity, but even more than that, it's a question of self-consciousness. That is, you are not just conscious of where you are right now. You are not just conscious of your physical body. You are not just conscious of your physical being, but you go deeper into consciousness of your being, of who you are, why you are here, who brought me here, why am I here, what am I here for, why do I have my hands, why do I have my voice, why do I have my heart, my brain, my legs, why do I have all these things that God has given me? What are they meant for? What am I supposed to be doing with them? Who sent me here? So self-consciousness is to be conscious and ask yourself questions about your existence, about your life, about your destiny, about your mission. So the question of who am I, it is not just who my body, you know, when you know who you are, you will find out who you are in terms of your body. You know your body, that's the easiest part of it. But you also find out who you are in terms of your soul, mental awareness, soul. So who are you in terms of your soul? Then you have to find out who you are in terms of your spirit man. So who you are in terms of your spirit man, that's connected to God. So who am I? I am made in the image and likeness of God. I think you might want to go and sit down because you might want to write some things down. So let me answer your question, who am I? For you to answer the question of who am I, you must be fully awake and fully aware. Nikki, right? Or Kikel, what? Moron KJ. Because Adamoje Tuda Vekadid. No, ni Tuda Damo will come na to Abeshna. Na. Yeah, so if you are writing something down, whenever you hear the question of who am I, is a question of self-awareness, is a question of identity, and is a question of self-consciousness. So those three words, you want to remember them. So how do you answer those questions of self-awareness, self-consciousness, and identity? How do you answer those three questions? To answer those three questions, you must first of all realize that you, as a person, that we want to find out who you are, who am I, we must first of all start by saying you are a true-in person. You are a true-in person. What that means is that you are three parts. You are in three parts. So you want to write that down. You are in three parts. Number one part is the easy part. That's what you see. That is your body. Yes? So you know you are a girl or you are a boy, you know you are 10 years old or 15 years old, you know you are 20 years old. That's just the physical part, that's the easy part. You are this tall or your body is changing, you are growing. So that is one thing you want to find out, you want to know about yourself when it comes to who you are. Physical body, then you want to know your name, your parent, tail. The most important part of your soul is your will, your willpower. You want to write that down as well. Your willpower, willpower. So now, some of you have got to stand up again and tell me what is will and what is willpower. If you want to, if I say your soul, come. The most important part of you, of your soul, of your soul is your will and your willpower. What is willpower? Can you help me answer that question?
I think it's having power over what you say, basically. Because,
look there.
It's basically, I think it's
what?
Having power over what you say.
Speak louder. You must speak louder.
I think willpower is having power over what you say about something or your opinion.
Oh, having power over what you are saying, over your opinion. Okay, I'm interested in knowing Sydney. How do you know that? Where did you get that from? How do you know that? You don't know. If you don't know how you know that answer, maybe it's not the right answer after all. But it's part of it. It's part of it. But it's just interesting to me to know. But let me give you a high five first. For, you know why? For being the most active today. But you must not lose it. You must not lose it. And your sister too. Because some of that people have not spoken yet. And if you are not getting up to speak, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have you stand. And you're going to stand the whole day until you speak. Yes. I'm going to do that. All of you that are not speaking, I'm going to have you stand up and begin to, until you speak, you will not sit down. So you will be standing up the whole day today. You are in trouble, all of you. Because Sydney is giving you such an example. Sydney and Casey. Sadie. Okay. Sydney and Sadie are really giving you a run for your money, all of you. So I'm going to make you, all of you, pay for it. Because they shouldn't be the only ones answering the questions too, because they are not the only participants of this event. So thank you so much, Sydney. You can sit down now. So before I ask you, all of you, to stand, and you will not be able to sit down until you answer, maybe you want to save yourself first. Okay? Come on now.
I think willpower is your ability to motivate yourself and or restrict yourself from doing something or saying something. So, for instance... Okay, maybe I'm asking the question wrong.
Okay, maybe you would like to give the definition of will. What is the will or willpower? Okay.
Will is it's kind of like your self-motivation in a sense. So I'm trying to see how I can put it into words, but it's kind of like how... It's like but you don't know how to describe it. Yeah. Your will is like your determination to do something, and how is like your motivation to do it, and then your willpower comes into play to like make you do or not make you do that thing.
Okay. I think Abiola would like to help, no? Yeah? You would like to? Okay, come on.
So willpower, I think, is the your driving force. What helps you keep going in tough times, like in times of temptation. When, say, okay, let's give the example of being on a diet because, yeah. So you want to say there's your mom's cooking, and you know you can't have it, but you go in the kitchen and everyone's eating it, and there's multiple people and everyone's eating it, and they're like, oh, you should have some, but you know you're on the diet. Your will is what helps you stay strong in that situation, and it's what determines whether you give up or not. That's what it is for me.
Okay, thank you. Anybody wants to contribute, please? What's your own name? Yemisi. Emisi. Come. Huh? Emisi? Okay.
I think your willpower might be the determination to do something.
Okay, the determination. Okay, thank you. All right, I want to get the first timers first. Yeah. You are Joy's sister, right? Yes, please. What's the name?
Jeanette.
Jeanette, okay.
I think will is related to desires and like what you sort of want, like what you want for yourself and what you want to do in life, what you like wish to accomplish. Yeah.
Okay, not bad. People are trying. Yep. What's your name again?
Esther.
Esther, yes.
Willpower is a choice given to all of us by God, because you can choose to do good, you could choose to do bad. It's nobody forcing you to do something. It's your own choice made by your own decision.
Let's clap for her. Willpower is the power of choice, right? Choice power. Beautiful, beautiful. That's the best answer so far. Anybody wants to contribute more? Okay.
Willpower is the strength of the mind. It's like if you have a desire, it's the strength of the mind that stops you from derailing yourself or undoing any progress that you've made, and it's what moves you forward. And I think it's mostly in the mind because people can say whatever, they can put you down, they can really try to discourage you. And even if you don't say anything back, or even if you seem like you're submitting because you keep your mouth shut, in your head you're still going strong and unwavering. I think, like for example, Jesus a lot, when he didn't reply, when he didn't respond to any, sometimes to any accusations, he was just focused and he kept on going strong, and throughout all his trials, tribulations, no matter, even if the Pharisees thought they were winning or they were going to win, he was headstrong and his mind wasn't going to be changed. So I think willpower is the strength of the mind and also determines to how much you want your desire.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Joy wants to talk first.
I think willpower is like when you want to do something, because God's given us free will, so we can choose what we want to do, and this willpower is like the power to choose.
Brilliant. Whenever you hear willpower, it always has to do with choice. Remember that. Choice. The ability to choose. Okay? Oh, you are true? You don't want to talk yet?
Yes, I think that your will has to do with what you've taken a firm decision to do, and that what I think it kind of involves a lot of things, because lots of people use will as a synonym for desire, but since it's kind of also what defines your, since we're discussing it on the soul level too, I think that sometimes your will can be what drives you towards your passion, or you may have a will concerning your passion. I think your will is like the path that you feel that you're determined to take and that you have to like make.
Okay. Thank you. So let's say that number one, the will is part of your soul. You have the whiteboard. Is it? Can you have it ready? Okay. So Nicola, principle just about it. What's that? Huh? Oh yeah. So the willpower is part of your soul. It's connected to your mind and to your heart. It's also connected to your spirit somehow, but it's basically in your mind and in your soul. But your willpower is your ability to take a decision. Your willpower is your ability to take a decision. It is the part of the body, part of you, that enables you to make choices. It enables you to make choices. It enables you to take decisions. Your will is your engine room. Is the engine room of your personality. So when you are asking, who am I? Part of who you are, the centrality of who you are is your will and your willpower.
What does centrality mean?
Personality? Centrality. What does centrality mean? Centrality means central. Do you know what central means? Yeah. It's the center. It's the center. It's the center part of your body. It's the center part of your body. So, your will, let me now tell you something about the will. Your will is the most important part of you. Your will is more important than your spirit. Your will is more important than your body. Your will is more important than your emotions. Your will is more important than your feelings. So you must know something about your will. Your will is even more important than your intellect. So the greatest power you have on earth is the power of your will. Your willpower is the most important power you have. Yes. It's the most important power you have on earth. No greater power you possess than the power of your will. If you are given $1 million today, it's less powerful than the power of your will, than your willpower. Your willpower is more important than $1 billion. Your willpower is more important than you growing up. Your willpower is more important than your age, your size, your look. It's more important than your nationality. It's more important than your gender. It's more important than what you want to become in life. Your willpower is more important than your children, your future children, your husband, your wife. It's more important than your family. There is nothing more powerful than your willpower. Many people don't know this, and many people have never heard of this before. So because they don't know that the greatest power is in the world, is in them, they are looking for that greatest power somewhere else. So many people are busy trying to look for the most important power out of themselves, outside of themselves. So they look for power in Kenny. I think I'm going to ask you to take a chair and come near here, and sit here, and you are going to be helping me to write. Yeah, so take your chair and your papers or whatever you have. So you are going to be relocated. So while Kenny is coming, I want to ask you all of you the question. Before this, take a share.
Oh, sure.
Before you came here today, before you started hearing me now, what did you think was the most important thing in your life? What did you think was the most important thing before I mentioned the willpower? Because if I ask this question from adults also, nobody will tell you that the most important power they have and the most important force they have is willpower. Nobody will tell me that. Most people don't know this. Even most adults don't know this. But you are lucky that you are getting to know this. So I want to ask you, what were you thinking before now was the most important thing?
Before now I was thinking your purpose is the important thing, because everybody's saying to be successful in life you need to find your purpose.
Okay. But purpose is not part of your identity right now. You will find it. When you find it, it will become part of your identity. But purpose is something that you have to do. But right now, willpower is already part of you. You know, it's already part of you. Purpose, will you discover it in you, and you have to execute it. That's also important. Maybe purpose is the most important thing. But I'm talking about powerful thing. So powerful thing, powerful is more different from important. So what did you think was the most powerful thing in life, or in your life, or in life before now? Yes, please.
Before now, I thought that the most important thing, the most powerful thing in my life was my spiritual walk with God, and like how...
That's important.
Yeah, that's important, but it may not be the
but
most.
what about powerful? So that is the most important thing. But what about the most powerful thing? You want to talk? Oh, anybody? Okay. Yeah, Joy, come. What were you thinking was the most powerful thing before now?
I thought the most powerful thing before now was love.
Was love? Okay, very good. That's a very good answer. Most powerful. What makes it, is it powerful or important?
It's both.
It's both. That's so correct. That's so correct. Yes? Love is one of the most powerful forces in the world. But it's not, it's in you, you have it. But do you know that without will and without your willpower, you'll not be able to love? Yes, you will not. And then you said your personal walk with God, right? Is the most powerful thing. That's what you taught me for now.
Yeah.
But do you know that without your willpower, you will not be able to take the decision to walk with God? You know, there is a lot of kids, even adults, who grew up knowing God as kids, but because they lost their willpower to pursue God, they actually lose their faith. So that makes willpower more powerful than even your faith in God. Why? Because it is the willpower that will make you to pursue, to get to know God, and to maintain your walk with God. And it's the willpower that will make you to take the right decision always. To believe in God, to keep on worshiping God, and to keep on following Him. Yes, it's important to know God and to have personal relationship. That's one of the most important things in the world. And love is one of the most important things in the world and one of the most powerful things in the world. But what makes willpower more powerful than everything else, what makes it the most important thing, the most powerful thing in the world, is that To believe in God, you still have to do it through the will. To love, you still have to do it through the will. But I want to also find out what are the other things that all of you thought were the most important or the most powerful thing before now, before today. So what were you thinking was the most powerful thing in life or in your life before now? Thank you, girls. Anybody want to contribute to that? What was the most important thing? What were you thinking was the most important thing? Come, please. Judah. The Lion of Judah?
So what I thought was the most powerful thing when I was like little, I used to think it was like, I still kind of do, is God.
God.
Yeah. But I think what you're saying, you can like choose, some people choose to love God and some people choose not to. They choose other religions, and it kind of makes sense to me now, because if you didn't have the willpower to want to become a believer, then
you can't,
no.
Because the willpower is what gives you the ability to even choose to believe in God. God made your willpower in your life even more important than Him. Can you believe that? Your willpower is more important than God. Not more important, more powerful than God. Until you make God your Lord. Until you make God your Lord or your life, your willpower is still the most important decision. Until you submit your will under the power of God. Now, God is more powerful than you and than your willpower, but in your own particular life, you can actually decide through your willpower to reject God or not to believe in God. But if you understand your willpower well and you use your willpower well, you will use your willpower to choose God. But even more important than that, you will use your willpower to submit your own self under God and under the power of God. And it is only when you do that that you really become a believer in God. So you see that the most important or the most powerful power or the most important power that you have in your life, the greatest power that you have is the power of your will still. You got it right. You got it right. Because it is with your will you choose to believe in God or not to believe in God. Or to choose what religion to believe in. Yeah. It comes through your willpower. Thank you. Very good, Judah. Any other person want to tell us what you thought was the most powerful thing before now?
One thing that I thought was quite powerful was your influence over people, whether good or bad. Because if you have the ability to like influence people in a good way, then that would lead you to like have more, I guess, power in the world and or strength in the world. And even if you're influencing them in a bad way, you would still have power over them, but out of fear that they have for you. So I guess I thought influence and how you treat people would affect the amount of power that you have.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Very good. Thank you. Any other person want to talk? If nobody wants to talk, then okay, come on. Jeanette? Yes, please.
Before, I thought the most powerful thing was speech. And like,
what?
Speech, your voice and like words.
Okay.
Because we got taught that like everything that we have now we got taught that everything that we have now, like the world that we live in, came about because of the word.
Okay.
And so that was what I thought was the most.
God spoke.
Yeah, that was what I thought was the most powerful, because He sent His word forth, and then everything was created. And
what about people who are deaf or dumb?
That's true.
What do we say about those? Because they cannot even utter any word. But do you know that people who are dumb, are deaf and dumb, they have will.
Yeah.
They don't have words, but they have will. So even in their lives, the will is still the most powerful. The word is powerful because God is the word and the word is God. But that is like God is the most powerful. But in our lives, even to speak what word to speak, you still need your willpower. For example, you came out now, Jeanette, to speak. That takes your willpower for you to even come out to open your mouth and talk. So to even release the word and speak the word is still the willpower. You did it. Thank you for that. Okay, now I'm going to ask you, Kenny, to do something. You look at those, what do you call them? Crayons or pen or markers? Okay, what do you call them? Whiteboard marker. You see those whiteboard markers? I'm going to be describing some things, so you use your creativity to write them in a way that will make it clear to everybody. So I'm going to be we are talking about 7 things, but I'm going to take them one by one. So the 7 questions of life, the 7 most vital questions of life. The first one we are dealing with, which we need a board for, when we finish it, we'll go to the second one, is who am I? So you need to, first of all, hear me first. So who am I needs to be big enough to be the topic of the day. Of now. Yeah, you can take it. So after who am I, under who am I, you need to write 3 things. Because the who am I, maybe you need to put an arrow, but you will say what you need to do. But we need to write 3 things, like maybe I shouldn't give you what to write first, but I will give you what to write later. So after those 3 things, then that is the definition of who am I. Then after that, those 3 points I'm going to give you, I'm also going to give you, related to everything, to who am I, I'm going to give you other 3 things. Okay, all coming from who am I. But those 3 things remain, these other 3 things remain. Then out of those second 3 things that I give you, then we begin to have outlets. Things growing out, branches going out from those 3 things, but especially from one. Especially from one out of the 3. So everything is under who am I. Okay, so let's start. How will you write the first who am I? The great who am I. And what color? That is also part of education. But then the who am I has to be clear enough for everybody to see what's going on and to read. And then that who am I still has to be related to everything we'll be talking about later. Okay? Now.
Is that big enough for everyone?
Huh? Yeah?
I'm saying yes to that.
You are saying yes to that? Okay. Now, the next 3 things you are going to write under that is the 3 things that tell us about not the description of who I am. Number 1, identity. They also have to be big enough for everybody to see what we are talking about. Identity. Two, self-consciousness. 3, self-identity. Is it, if I said self-identity? Identity? No, I said that. Self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. You might say self-identity, actually, instead of just identity. Add self on top of the identity. I'm getting concerned about the job that Kenny is doing. And what is giving me concern about it is, I'm afraid he's more concerned about the beauty and the artistry of the thing than he's concerned about the... Huh? So he said it's just being creative, but I'm very more concerned about it being visible to everybody.
Did you guys see it?
It might be too beautiful for people to see. Ooh, you gave the wrong one. What did you do? No, okay. Then don't use that anymore. Use the other one. This is not whiteboard Parker you gave. It's not that it's too black. It's not for whiteboard.
I mean, there is the one for the whiteboard.
Don't give excuses. You gave the wrong one.
At least we know that.
We know that. There is no excuse that you can give that justifies it. You are supposed to try it out before you gave it to him.
Maybe if you draw for it with the whiteboard marker.
You think so? Okay, you go and do it. It's like you've done it before. I'm not sure of that theory. It's working, yeah. He said kind of. Huh? Toothpaste? Okay, just let it be. We'll do that afterwards. Yeah. We'll do that afterwards. So the next 3 things we are going to write, let him continue his job. Just leave out that black one out of it. Make the board look straight so that you'll be able to, people will be able to see it, yeah. So the next thing we want to write is, when we're talking about who am I, we are talking about you, so we need 3 things. We are talking about your spirit, soul, and body. Those are the next 3 things.
Through who am I or through self?
No, through who am I. It also covers who am I.
Okay. Now we got blue, we got
There has to be 3. Spirit, soul, and body. But make sure you write soul in a place where you'll be able to have a lot of outlets from it. So you might want to start with body, spirit, body, and soul, so that then the soul will have a lot of outlets. Now, I think it's making them visible for sure now. That's what I think. No questions. Okay, now when you go to the soul, you need to write a number of things under the soul. One, willpower. Or maybe just will. Will. Number two, under the soul, you write intellect. Oh, no, intellect, okay, intellect. Or is it better to just write mind? Just write mind. Intellect might be too big for you there. Mind. Mind. Then after that, you write another word we call emotions. Then after that, you write another word we call feelings. Yes. You have a question? Okay.
When you said how willpower,
Look at yeah. Why?
you said how willpower is a very important thing.
More powerful, yeah.
And more powerful than some. The thing I got confused about was why God didn't tell us to worship Him with will and only with spirit and truth. And you said willpower is more powerful than spirit.
Beautiful mind. Beautiful girl. Your mind is serious. Your mind is working like a machine. So the question Joy has is, why should I say the will power is more powerful than spirit when actually God said we should worship Him in spirit and truth? So if we are to use spirit, our spirit to worship God, how come will is more powerful than spirit? Who wants to answer that question? You are the one who gave the right answer about the soul before, so.
When you worship God, you worship Him with a full heart. God doesn't want to force us to do against what we don't want to do. So if we worship Him willingly with our own consciousness, knowing that we want to do it ourselves, nobody told us to, it's our own choice, our own decision, that means it's true to Him. And He feels that true worship instead of someone, forcing you to worship and he's not feeling it, you're not feeling it, then there's no point.
Joy, I don't know, Joy, did you get that? That's why will is more powerful. Because it involves your choice, and it involves your consciousness, and it involves your free will, that you freely take the decision to worship God, and to worship Him in spirit and in truth, but with your free will. You do that yourself. You say that. You choose to do that, rather than, just being forced to do it by God or by anybody else. Yeah, so that's good. All right. Now, another question to all of you before I continue my teaching. How will you assess Kenny's work, Kenny's job? It could be better? I think it is Ife who said that. Ade said that. So whoever said it could be better, we'll get her to do it the second half, the second teaching. We will see your own creativity after that. Okay. So one thing that you people have to remember, like I started saying, is that there is nothing more important in life for you to know that, I mean, for you know, to be aware of, than to know the fact that actually there is actually no greater power in the world than the power of your will. Can anybody look into, let's check out in the Bible. I want to check out your Bible knowledge. And I want to ask you this question. I want each one of you to try to find me some biblical examples that proves to us that the will is more important, is the most powerful force in the world. That the will is more important, is more powerful than, more important to you, more powerful in your life than even God. That is even more powerful in your life than, your will is more powerful than God, is more powerful than life, is more powerful than Satan, is more powerful than anything. Any example that you want to use to prove to me that will is the most important thing you have. That your will is the most important thing you have. Anybody wants to be the first one? Joy, come. Because you are not standing. You are supposed to stand up and come. You raise up your hand, but you didn't come. So Joy is going to get it first part.
When Jonah...
When who?
When Jonah chose to disobey God and did not go to Nineveh but went to Tarshish, he chose it Noah chose it with his will.
So even though God instructed Jonah to do one thing, but he actually chose to disregard God's instruction. So you are, as a human being, you have the power to tell God to shut up if you are not smart, if you are foolish. And that's exactly what Jonah did. So you should not be surprised, you kids, when you see people on TV or in your classroom or a professor that says, to hell with God, or damn God, or God shut up. Don't be surprised. Don't be shocked. And don't say, oh, God, but God didn't kill him. He didn't die. So then I could also do anything. No. Just be aware that God gave him that power. God has given all of us the power either to obey him or to even shut him up or to shun him. To shun him. But when we do, he will not kill you immediately because he's such a loving God. He will give you the benefit of the doubt and he will give you the chance of a lifetime to come to your senses, to come back to your senses. You know, if I had been God, he would have died right there, I might tell you that one. But why is it that God doesn't kill people who offend him or who speak him off immediately? Because he might not kill you right now, but he gives you another 50 years to live, 100 years to live. So you have enough chance and you don't have any excuse to say you couldn't come back to him. So if you still refuse to recognize him after 50 years of your life, then you are justified. He is justified when he sends you to hell. But by not killing you immediately and giving you the chance, he's stripping you of any excuses. You don't have an excuse now because he has forgiven you. He didn't touch you. He let you leave. And then you still didn't come back to repent. So Joy, that's a beautiful example. Because Jonah just proved to us that even God doesn't control our will. Even God doesn't. You know, even God, you know what he does? He uses persuasion. Persuasion to convince us of what he wants us to do. So, I'm talking to you kids now. But I think if your parents were to be here, I would have told them, parents, we as parents too, don't use force to make you do our will. We don't control your will. We don't manipulate your will. We use what? Persuasion. But if you disagree and you are still under 18, well, somebody said don't say 18, and you are still under their supervision, you disagree with your mother and father, they have the willpower and the authority to make you do something. Why? Who tells me why? Before you are 18. Why do they have the power to make you do something? When you refuse to be persuaded, why will your parents have the power to force you to do something against your will?
Is it because they still have the responsibility to take care of you and they're responsible for you?
Because if they tell you don't jump from that 10th floor and you say, well, I don't agree, I have my willpower, I want to jump, they have the responsibility to go stop you by force. That's how it is with life. You know, maybe you might not be jumping from 10th floor, 20th floor, but there are a lot of decisions that could ruin your life that you don't know, that you are not aware of. So it is their responsibility to stop you against your will, as long as you are under their supervision. You understand what I'm saying? So, but the best way for parents to convince you is how? Persuasion. Who will go first out of the two? Now there are two sisters that are competing among themselves, so who goes first? You go first, okay?
One of the examples is when God told Saul to kill every breathing
yes, all the
thing.
Amalekites, yes.
Yeah, but Saul kept all the good and healthy animals for himself, even though he was doing it for the right reasons, to give it to sacrifice for God. He chose to keep it instead of doing what God told him to do.
Which is disobedience. So he chose to do it. I like that word you said. I like your choice of word. He chose to do what he wanted to do rather than what God told him to do. So what does that tell us about willpower?
That God can tell you to do something, but it's your choice whether to listen to him.
Brilliant. Now another question to you, because you are answering so well. So another question is there a consequence, bad consequence, for disobeying God, both in the case of Jonah and in the case of Saul? Are there bad consequences?
Yes, because when God was talking to Saul, and God said that because of what he did and didn't carry out his instructions, he wouldn't be king.
So what does that tell me and you? Whenever we disobey God or God's will and choose our will, what happens? Are there going to be bad consequences or not?
Probably depends on the kind of thing you did.
Okay, what do you all think? If we disobey God and choose to neglect or disregard his instructions and do according to the way we wish, are there going to be bad consequences or not?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, now you got it. Yes, what will your sister say? What are the examples of to prove that our willpower is the most powerful thing we all have?
In the story of Adam and Eve, when they...
Brilliant! I was waiting for that example. The story of Adam and Eve, right?
When they made the decision to eat the fruit, even though Eve was tempted, Adam also made the decision to eat the fruit from his wife, and they had consequences, and they were sent out of the Garden of Eden.
Yes, beautiful. Now, that is willpower. So you told us about the willpower of Adam and Eve, but you said Adam still had to make that choice to listen to his wife. What about God? Who do they listen to? Do they obey God, or they chose to disobey God?
They chose to disobey God.
They chose to disobey God. Okay. Do they have the power to disobey God?
Yes.
Yes. That is how powerful our will is. Now, and you said there are bad consequences. So what happens to us when we choose to do what we want rather than what God says?
God forgives us, but we still have to make up for the bad things we did.
Oh, beautiful. God always forgives us when we ask for forgiveness, but sometimes there are still consequences, or there's restitution, making up for the bad things that we have done. Beautiful. You want to be the last one? Okay.
I think I have like so many examples, but the one I'm going to say is Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was asking God to take away the cup, but then he still, even though it was really, he knew the pain he was going to go through, but then he still chose to go forward with it because he knew that the end would be better than the pain that he would suffer. So I think that's just an example of how even Jesus as God, and he still went through all the human struggles of like struggling with what he wanted to do and what he didn't want to do, and he still chose to go through with it because he knew the benefit that would have later on.
Yeah, but that is the opposite example, which is a brilliant one. Because Jesus was actually saying the flesh was weak, but the spirit was willing, but his flesh was weak. Which means all of us are going to fail. If Jesus, the Son of God, the most powerful person that ever lived, and is the Son of God, if he faced the dilemma and the conflict of struggles between his will and his spirit, doesn't that mean that we all will face the same challenge?
Yeah, we will.
You think so? Okay, but why didn't his spirit take the decision to obey God? Why didn't he use his spirit? Because he said the spirit was willing, but yet he was struggling for a decision. Why didn't he just use his spirit? Just because this is a very good example we are using now, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, to prove that the will is more powerful than the spirit. Because the spirit was willing, yet he couldn't go ahead. And he couldn't do it. Why? Because even though the spirit was willing, he needed the willpower. He needed the agreement of the will for him to do it. So there are going to be a lot of times when your spirit, when you know in your mind the right thing to do. You're going to know the right thing to do, and maybe your spirit man is willing to do it, but you might not have the power, the willpower, or you might not still have to get the agreement of your will to be able to take that decision. Yeah. Would you like to comment on that?
I think it is interesting how he didn't just go through with what his spirit was willing, but I think it's because there was still a choice that he had to make himself.
Yeah.
Like, even though, yeah, there are many times where we want to, like, talk to someone about God, or we want to, like, serve or do something, but we ourselves have that, like, doubt or
challenge,
fear.
Yeah.
So I think even though Jesus could have easily just gone through with it without feeling anything, he still had a choice to make, and he could have easily said, I'm not going to do this. But because he could see ahead of the present pain that he was feeling and the present struggle of the situation he was in, he was able to decide for himself that he would go through it for the benefit of everyone else.
Where is the noise coming from? We need to reduce the noise or stop it. So, yeah, beautiful. So, Jesus' spirit was willing. So, he was willing, no doubt about it. There will be, and that's an example for us, that there will be a lot of situations when we will know the right thing to do, but we still need the willpower. Because it is our will that takes the decision. The will is more powerful than our knowledge. Our will is more powerful than our spirit. Because in the case of Jesus, he said the spirit was willing, but yet he was finding it tough to take the decision. Yeah, but the good thing is, Jesus also showed us an example that even though he found it difficult to do, he still did it. He still did the right thing. And that's what we need to learn to do. We need to develop our willpower to always do what God wants and what is according to the truth, even though our flesh might be weak or we might find things difficult to do. And that is another lesson we have to learn about the willpower here. The will and the soul is what stands in between the spirit and the flesh. You remember Jesus said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So what is in between them? What is in between them is?
The soul and the mind.
The soul, the mind, and the willpower. So even though the spirit was willing, the flesh was weak, but the soul takes the decision. That is why the soul and primarily the will is the most important thing you possess, is the most important thing you have. Nothing is more important than your willpower. Nothing is more important than your soul. So, you know, how many of you come from Christian homes, Christian families? Raise your hands. Okay. Have you ever heard that your spirit is the most important thing you have? You never heard of that? Well, many people believe that, many people think that as Christians, that our spirit is the most important thing we have. Maybe that is true on one hand, but it's not the most powerful thing we have. It's the most important thing we have because if your spirit is gone, if your spirit is dead, you are through. You are gone. But it's not the most powerful thing because the most powerful thing is the will. Because the will directs your spirit. It's like the will is sitting on the driver's seat. And the spirit is the passenger. But the will is holding the steering and sitting at the passenger seat. So even though the spirit is the owner of the car, but the driver decides where you go to. That's how the willpower is. The will and the soul. So the soul is the most powerful thing we have. It even decides the direction of the spirit. But of course the spirit is the most important because if you die, then your will dies. Everything dies. But the most powerful is your soul and your willpower. Thank you. Any other person knows some scriptures? Okay, please come and tell us what are scriptures that tell us that the will is our most treasured, most powerful possession.
I kind of remember Deuteronomy 28. That's the verse, that's the chapter where God is telling, that's the chapter where the covenant is renewed of the Old Testament, and God is telling Israel that if you obey all my laws, these are all the blessings that come to you, and if you disobey all the laws, these are all the curses that will come to you. And that just made me realize that depending on your willpower, that's what's going to happen in your life. Like it says, the Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain down your land in season, and to bless all the work of your hands. You will lend to many nations, but borrow from none. The Lord will make you the head and not the tail. If you pay attention to the commands of the Lord that I give you this day and carefully follow them, you will always be at the top, never at the bottom. Do not turn away from any of the commands I give you today, to the right or to the left, following other gods and serving them. However, if you do not obey the Lord your God and do not carefully follow all his commands and decrees I am giving you today, all these curses will come on you and overtake you. Because before, I think I was thinking that maybe the most important thing in life that you have, besides your purpose, is your actions that, you know, shape what your future will be and shape how you can come into your purpose from God. But obviously, if your will isn't to take the right actions, then you won't take them and you won't get to where you need to be. So here it shows that if we get our willpower to not turn aside from the commands of God, not to the left or to the right, then that means we're guaranteeing for ourselves a successful life. But if our will doesn't agree with God's commandments, then we'll be disobedient and all those curses will come on us. But this is a whole chapter that's telling us that you can shape what will happen with your life. You can be cursed, or you can be blessed, but and it all depends on your will.
Excellent. Okay, another person willing to speak? Okay, so now the next question I have for you guys will be, what are the human achievements in human history that proves to us the power of the will? What are the human achievements that prove to us that the will is the most important, is the most powerful force that we've all got? What are the human achievements that prove to you that the willpower is the most important human possession? Please come, anybody who's willing, come and tell us.
For me, the first thing that came to mind was, I can't remember what year it was in, but when in America, when Rosa Parks decided not to stand for the American man who told her to get off the bus because she was black, because she decided to stay in her seat, and although she got a lot of like racist backlash from it, it made an impression on like the whole society that just because of my skin color, I'm not gonna let that make me be treated in a different way because I'm human as well. So I think it kind of set an example for every other African American who was facing racism at the time, and even white Americans, that even though you may think that you're superior to us, we deserve the same things as you do, and we have rights as well. So that one decision kind of like sparked a lot of like protests and stuff, and
led to civil rights movement and revolution and the change in America. Good. Next one. Next person want to say something? Come. Any human achievements that proves to us that the willpower is the most powerful thing a man possesses?
For me, I thought of Thomas Edison, because we read in your book Life is an Opportunity, like we found out more about him. I didn't know this before, but he was apparently really dumb, and no one, and even though he made his own inventions, his teachers used to think, told him that he was really dumb and he wouldn't get anywhere, but he continued to invent, and he continued to do what he loved, and he ended up being the creator of the light bulb, and yeah, so it was his will that he kept on going. So against all the other odds and against what people were telling him, he wasn't listening to what people were telling him, and he was just doing what he believed was right.
And how many times did they fail before Thomas Edison, before he invented the lamp? 999 times. Does that tell you anything about willpower?
Yeah.
How many times do you try normally after failing?
Like 5.
4. Or like 5, huh?
Yeah.
Not in the hundreds? Not 500? You've never tried 500 times before?
No. I mean, I'll try to a certain extent, but I don't have that much willpower.
So is that the big lesson about willpower from Thomas Edison?
Yeah.
Almost 1,000 times. It worked out only the 1,000th time. Okay, who is the next person that wants to show us an example of that in the history of mankind that shows us that willpower is the most powerful thing we have? Anybody wants to tell us about that?
Come on.
You have to come out. Yeah, Sydney, come on. Okay.
Well, I think there's good examples and that there's bad examples. And for example, there's the example of the Reformation, like the Protestant Reformation, because I liked the examples of William Tyndale and of Martin Luther, and because Martin Luther was just one monk in the whole Catholic Church, and he decided that there was corruption. He saw there was corruption in the Catholic Church, and he decided that was totally wrong. That was totally against the Word of God, and he wanted to fight against that. Except that Catholicism was the law at the time, and so standing up against
the government.
Yeah. Standing up against that was really, really, like, basically crazy. If you want to, like, have a happy life, then don't do that. But he did, and people even gave him, like, little chances to, like, okay, just say that everything you've been saying so far has been a mistake, and then we'll forgive you. But he didn't. He kept on preaching what he thought was true, and he kept on telling people not to pay the priest's money to get out of hell or something, and not to say all these things that weren't in the Bible. And so then he was declared an outlaw. People weren't allowed to talk to him. People were like allowed to kill him and all of that. But still he kept going. And then actually his situation did get better in the end. But actually he was just basically one man standing against like the whole country. But he still the whole world, but he still kept going, and now his influence seems even bigger than the Catholic Church right now. So,
okay, is that a good example or bad example?
That was a good example, and there is a bad example of Hitler, because it's bad, but he really had an impact on the world, and nobody can deny that. And I think that is because of the extreme willpower he had. He had the really wrong ideas, and that's why I think that in the end, his movement collapsed. But it was something big, and it was something that we should learn from our mistakes, that you shouldn't found anything on hate. But still, even though well, first of all, after World War I, when Germany was defeated, he felt all humiliated, and he thought it was the Jews' fault and something. So he decided that he had to get rid of all the Jews in Germany, and he had such willpower for that. He just kept aggressively promoting that. He kept going on speeches, and he kept writing things, and he got jailed for that because he was criticizing the government. But while he was in jail, he wrote his most influential book. And after he came out of jail, he went in more and more and more and more, and he kept pursuing what he wanted to. And even though when he was first participating in the elections, he got really low votes at first. He kept going, and that's how he eventually got power. And he had to go through a lot. Because he was unpopular, of course, at first, of course, and he was already jailed once, and he was not like from a noble family or anything. He really didn't have much of a chance. But because he had such a willpower, though he had really morbid ideas, in the end, his willpower overcame everything else. All of the other people in society, all of those other people in the higher ranks, just through sheer willpower, he broke into power and did everything that he did. So, yeah.
That's the evil. That is, even though the man has chosen to do evil, but even when you are having evil intention, and you put your willpower to work, even evil people get things done. So if evil people will get things done, and God was there, why didn't God stop it? Why didn't God stop it? Because there was other human beings on the earth who also had willpower. Why didn't they? God was not a participant of the life on earth. And Hitler was not having a supreme willpower. He had the same willpower like any other person. So why didn't the good people with good intentions use their own willpower too? To stop him and bring good and impose good upon the earth. That's why it was not God's business. You see, a lot of things on the earth that we say are wrong, an atheist use this a lot against God. And they say, okay, if there is God, why is it that wars are all over the place? Well, God is starting wars. And God is not a participant in on the earth. It's not a physical being here that is in politics. It's not part of the politicians. And it's not part of, even everyday life on earth. I mean, it's not a physical presence here. So, but he has us here. He has humans here who he has given the willpower to do the opposite of what the bad people are doing. So why are you sitting in church? Why are you silent? Why are you not using your own willpower to counter what the devil is doing or what the bad guys are doing? Just like Pastor Chris was telling us about the sexual perversion yesterday. Why is she championing the crusade? Because she has a willpower to stop it. You don't just pray for God to come and stop it from heaven. But bad people are not praying to God, to Satan to come and do the bad things they are doing. They are just using their willpower and doing the evil things that they are doing. We can pray for God for help us, but we still need our own willpower to stand up and use that willpower to stop all the bad things that are happening in the world. So that's why I preach the gospel of the kingdom. And I believe that we are the ones who have the power to stop all the bad things that are happening in the world. You just have to know that God has already given us that power. He's given us the willpower.
Amen. And
we can stop all the evil. So you have to decide right now, what are the evil things that you want to stop? And that leads me to my next question. And maybe before I ask my next question, I must allow all of you to speak, because I know that Sydney still wants to talk. So, okay, Sydney, will you still want to tell us what you think?
Another person who was able made a choice was Malala.
Malala, the young girl.
Yeah, who fought for girls.
How old are you now?
I'm 11.
Do you know how old she was when she did that?
Yeah, she was 11.
She was 11.
She fought for girls' education and was doing vlogs secretly without people knowing until she was exposed. And on her way back home on a bus, she got shot, and I think I'm not sure which eye got damaged, but one of her eyes got damaged. But she kept on fighting for girls' education, and it was able to happen.
Beautiful. Any other person want to tell us other examples of how willpower is changing our world and is making our world the way we have it right now? Okay, no more answers. Then next question to all of you. My next question is, now that you have discovered that willpower is the most powerful power you have, that there is no more powerful thing you have than willpower. Now that you have discovered that willpower is the greatest power you have, you tell me, what do you want to use your willpower to accomplish on the earth? What would you like to use your willpower to do? If it is the most important power and you have it, you don't need to look for it from God. God already gave it to you. You don't need to look for it from Satan. Satan doesn't have anything to do with it. You already have God willpower. You don't need to pray about it. You don't need to fast about it. You don't need to read the Bible for it. You already have the willpower. What do you want to use that power to accomplish on the earth, please?
Well, I just think that's an amazing opportunity, that we have that will in us and that we can use this amazing power for anything that we put our minds to. So I think that the first thing that I should do is that, well, because of this, a lot of things that I've heard all my life, they kind of take root. Because you hear things like, tell yourself something, tell yourself things over and over, and you'll see it become true. And I've heard that many times, and I've been like, yeah, you keep believing that. Yeah, you keep saying things to yourself. And I was like, how does that even work? How do you say things to yourself over and over and they come to be? No, that's just wasting your time. But now I see that, okay, if you say something to yourself over and over, it becomes your reality, and your will is to make that reality more than just something you see, but into this world, but to come into this world, then it really will come into this world. So I want to maximize that ability in me so that I can be able to work on myself in the spheres that I need to. Because even if my spirit is willing, my flesh can be weakened, but if I work on my willpower to have like a heightened will to work where I need to work on myself, then I can, like you said, aggressively work on myself so that I can achieve the success that I need to in my purpose. And then that way I can go out into the world, and I know that my will, which is to like head the crusade and to just promote just aggressively promote the truth of God in this world, if that is my will, and I've worked on myself, and first my will was to work on myself so that I could become perfect enough to promote God's will in the world, and if I go out into the world that way, then I know that nobody will be able to stop me. So I think that I should start.
What are the things you want to use apart from developing yourself? What are the things you want to accomplish? You want to use your will to accomplish on the earth, to do.
Okay, so
you have to name them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, I want to start some maybe organizations or programs that will educate people, that will propagate the right ideas in society. So, in Hitler's case, for example, there was the idea that we're the best and we should eliminate everybody else because we're the strongest, and that way we'll have a perfect society because only the strong people are left. But I know that everybody is made in God's image, so I want to create organizations that propagate the fact that we are created for a purpose. We need to realize that and live on that, and then go out and achieve our full greatness in the world.
Okay. Another thing you want to use your willpower to accomplish on the earth? Or any other person wants to talk? Yeah, please.
I think for me, in the short term, is I could use it to like get good grades and stuff in university. But in the long term, the two things that I really want to like put all my energy into, firstly, is becoming like a successful author, because I have so many book ideas that I could write, but I just haven't, because I'm like, oh, I need to research more, or I haven't planned this out enough. But I know I can write them, so I want to start like putting all my energy into writing those and getting them like good to like publish and stuff. And secondly, I have like a really big passion for like helping young girls who are involved in like trafficking and who are like being like abused and put into situations against their own will. So I think for me, I'd want to either be involved in an organization or start something that can like help them get out of that and like bring them back into the girls that God created them to be, and like help them realize that they are not just like objects for people to use, and that they are created in God's image. And like I just want to like be a part of something that helps girls to be like more confident in themselves, especially if they've gone through that kind of thing.
Okay. Another thing that you like to use your willpower to accomplish?
Maybe to like set up my own business for something, because I don't know, I just have so many ideas about what I want to do in my life. But
okay, why don't I ask all of you right now to take your pen while she is talking and while other people will be talking, to write down your own answers. What are the things that you would like to use your willpower, since that is the biggest thing you need? You don't need the money is not the biggest power you need. Influence is not the biggest power you need on the earth. People is not the biggest thing you need. Connection is not the biggest thing you need. Even God is not the biggest thing you need. Even prayers is not the biggest thing you need. You need God. So why do you need God then? God is the ultimate. You need God so that God will keep you straight. You need God so that you will do His will. You are ultimately His servant and His son and His image and His representation. So you need Him to keep on feeding off Him. You need God for your continuous survival. You need God to keep on giving you more grace, more ideas, and more ability to do more things. You need God as your source. But I'm saying, even without God, you have the willpower already. God already giving you the power that you need to accomplish anything. Even if you choose to reject God, you still have that power to even choose to reject God. But you will not, because we know we are children of God, and as children of God, we are here to use our willpower to do what? To accomplish God's purpose. But you don't need to keep on waiting on God to do anything, because God already gave you the power. And the most important power is what He already gave you. But you remember, that willpower comes from Him. That's why when you reject God, you have consequences. Evil consequences, bad consequences. But your willpower is to do God's will and God's purpose on the earth. So right now, I want you to look into the world and see what are the things that you want to use your willpower to accomplish or to change for the better. And also, while you are writing that, remember that this willpower was given to you by God. So it must be used for what purpose, first of all? For God's purpose, first of all. To glorify who, first of all? Yourself? God. So you must always bear that in mind. But you don't wait and stop and wait for God doing nothing because you want God to come do it for you. That would be wrong use, because that would be neglecting what God already gave you to use to do these things. God already gave you the willpower, which is the most important power in the world. So for you now to go to church and say, I'm waiting for God to come and do it, it's not to understand God. It's not to understand yourself, and it's not to understand the world. So you don't have the right to go and be waiting for God to come do something, while He gave you the power to do it. So if you want to wait on God for anything, it's just to wait for direction, to wait for wisdom, but not to wait, actually, but to actually seek for wisdom, direction, but while you are busy doing what He already gave you the power to do. So I want all of you to make a list. Make your own list of maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of all the things you could use. If you have this awesome power in you, what are the things you would like to use it to change? Write it. You are not writing anything. You've got to write the things that you would like to improve in the world. The things that are not right in the world. And the things that can be fixed in the world. Through your willpower. Yeah, keep on going. You talked about a few things, but if you see you have anything you would like to change in the world or improve, thanks to your willpower.
I think apart from those, doing something that could, I think another thing that I could do would be like using my talents in like writing and poetry and stuff to like promote the creative professions more and show that, because I know that in the world, especially with like African parents and stuff, there's like, they only focus on the professions that have like stable, high-paying jobs attached to them, but all the other, like the entertainment industry, film, fashion, music, all of that, they're just as important as the more conservative jobs. So if I could like do something, be it by my writing and poetry or just like being, I don't know, a business person in those fields, I think I'd like to just like use that to promote the importance of those industries as well as the more conservative and like lucrative ones.
Okay. Any other person want to tell us what he wants to use his willpower to accomplish in the world, please?
I would use it for children's education.
Wow.
And also to build more hospitals around the world. Also for children's health and also adults' health, and to also bring fresh water to countries to like poor countries.
Beautiful, beautiful. Joy, you want to say something? Yes, please come.
Thank you.
Since you've discovered the greatest power you have in the world is your willpower, you can even use it to reject God. But what do you want it to do? What are the positive things you want to use it for?
I want to become a scientist and help people with my inventions, and I want to help the needy children, and I want bad things to stop happening, and like diseases and stuff, to help stop making bad things happen. And I want to help the people who are trying their best to take care of the world.
Beautiful. Beautiful, because science and being a scientist, Joy, is one of the greatest ways you could help the world. Most of these people that you see here, they are all scientists, most of them, because they are able to invent things and bring solutions to the world that resolve the suffering of the world population. So beautiful. That's a good way to use your willpower. You can use your willpower to solve the problems of the world through science. Any other person want to do that? Okay. What do you want to use your willpower to accomplish in the world?
So what I want to use my willpower for, I want to put a hospital in every slum area, like Brazil and India and all those places. And because I want to be a doctor, I want to be able to like have a cure for all types of cancers and heart diseases, and I want to help people with skin diseases as well, leprosy.
So you want to be a doctor that cures those things, or you want to be a doctor that finds solution for those things? Because there is a difference. If you want to find solution to all kinds of cancer, that is like being a scientist doctor, a doctor researcher. That's not just being a doctor, but that's being a researcher to research and being a scientist to find solutions to those things. But if you want to just be a doctor, that's just going to cure them. Which one do you think you want to do?
The researcher.
Research doctor, yeah. Research doctor is the person that finds the solution. So, because when it's time for you to go to university, it's important for you to choose well. To choose well what you want to do. That what I want to do is not just to be a doctor, medical school, and just go and heal people. That's different. But I want to be a researcher. So that is totally different. That's going to a research institute where you specialize in medical research, and then you find solutions to those things. That is much more powerful than just going to work as a doctor. And then you bring solution and be able to resolve that question. Very good. Yes, please.
For me, in my personal life and like with what I want to do with my life, I want to have the will to continue to search for companies, music production companies where I can volunteer at, because I've been looking for them and they're really hard to find, and I just give up. But after a while, I always go back to it because that's what I really want to do. But obviously, it starts from, you need to start small, so that's why I wouldn't start volunteering. But it's been really hard for me because I search for hours at a time, but then I always give up, and I never end up seeing places, or I see places and I email them. The amount of companies I've actually emailed is a lot, and they either don't get back to me. No, that's it. They just don't get back to me. So it's just I just want to have the will to continue doing it because this is really what I want to do. But also for something that's a burden of mine is racism. I really want to fight against racism, even though I know that it's going to be really hard. And also, also colorism, because
what?
Colorism.
What's colorism?
Is basically the belief that the lighter you are, the better.
Oh, okay.
So it's just, so like the darker you are, it's, you know, because black people were like monkeys and stuff like that. So it's just something that I feel really strongly about. And I want to fight against it, even though I know it's going to be hard, but I want to have the willpower to do it rather than complain about it all the time.
So you want to use your willpower to change the picture of racism in the world?
Yeah.
And then to bring about music industry, music production?
Yeah.
Very good. Any other person want to say anything? What you want to use your willpower to do? If you are not coming up here, you must write those things down. Make sure you write as many points as possible down, or whatever is in your heart. Write down the things that you would like to use, because I just told you the willpower is the most important power you have. It's the most important power in the world. And it's in you. You don't need to look for it in Brazil, in Africa, or anywhere. You don't need to go to heaven to find it. It's right in you. So if the willpower is the most important power in the world, and it's right in yourself, in you, what do you want to use that power to do? I thought you were here before. Yeah. Okay, you are raising your hand? Okay, let's listen to him first. By the way, if there are some people watching us on Facebook, and let us hear your experience. If you're an adult or you're a parent, let's hear your feedbacks. Let's hear your opinions. Let's hear what you are thinking about, what you are hearing, and this HMT we are doing. Yes, please.
Okay. Just like you said about the black people guys who came here from 10 years ago, people today still tend to follow the masses. Like the other day, last week, a footballer was transferred to a new club and was revealed to be earning £500,000 per week.
From where?
I think Neymar Jr.
In Ukraine?
No.
What happened? Tell us again. Say that again.
I said last week, a footballer was transferred to a new club, and it's revealed that he's going to be earning £500,000 per week.
A week?
Yes.
So why are you saying that? What's that? What was that about?
So my roommate, when he heard this, like even though he's studying chemical engineering, he like immediately shouted that I must learn this ball. Like my children must learn this.
To play football?
Yes.
Why?
Because he heard about this this guy who is earning this amount of money. So even though he's a chemical engineer, or he's studying to be a chemical engineer, he has already like changed his whole perspective, and he wants to already move into football. Like also even a new trend now is being like a YouTuber.
A what?
YouTuber.
Why?
Like YouTuber now is like granting people instant social media fame. And suddenly I see new people join YouTube every day because people just want to like have instant fame, I feel. And because they see that other people are having this fame through YouTube, that they join YouTube. So what I want to change is the mentality that people have to follow the trend and go with what is earning money, for them to stick with their initial purpose,
Okay.
I want to use my willpower to help create like a business or a school to help people who have ideas but don't know where or how to start. I let it be like a platform to help them with support and training.
That is so key. That's so important. So important.
But before this, I have in mind to invent at least two things, because apart from the fact that these two things I have in mind to invent will help people, will help benefit the society, I feel that people wouldn't want to come to a school or training where the owner didn't put into practicality what he or she teaches. So that is...
What are the things you want to invent? Do you know them yet?
Yes, but that's like a secret for now.
Ah, okay. So, but what are those two things going to give you or do for you? Are they going to give you money or just recognition or fame or more things?
Yeah, recognition and fame, yes.
Okay. Because you need the recognition and fame for what?
As I said, because I feel that when I finally make the company or the business, the training, where I try to invite people who have ideas but don't know where to start, I feel that like people won't want to come to a place where, like maybe they can see the advert on their when they're browsing, that if you have an idea, you don't know where to start or how to start, come to me. But you now go and try to research the person, but the person doesn't appear to have done anything or achieved anything. So why would you, who hasn't achieved anything, try to teach me to achieve something? Yeah.
But if you're a Mark Zuckerberg and you say you want to help anybody become achieve their dream, will it be easier for someone like Mark Zuckerberg to be able to galvanize people around himself and gather people and they will believe him? Is it easier for people to believe Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates than somebody who didn't achieve anything?
Yes, I feel it's easier, yes.
So you want to use that strategy?
Yes.
Become like, invent things like Mark Zuckerberg invented, and then after that you'll be able to, that will become the platform for you to be able to carry out your ultimate vision.
Yes.
Of helping people to fulfill their calling.
Yes.
Beautiful. Very good. Well, I think our time is up. Our time is up for now. So do I need to come back at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or no? Not today? What's your program like? Because I thought I saw myself twice. Yes. What's the second time? What was the second time? When am I coming back?
After lunch from 2.
What after lunch? Am I coming back at 2 o'clock?
No, 3, sorry.
You look confused. I'm coming back at 3.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm coming back at 3 to be with you. That's what I just heard. When am I coming back? 9. Okay, then tell me 9. So, okay. So, remember where we stopped? We've only done will. We've only done will. We still need to do mind, emotions, feelings, in soul. Yes. Any question? And this is just the first question. There are 7 questions. You are only in the first one, huh? You forgot, the most important thing we are examining is the 7 questions, the 7 most vital questions of life. And we're only answering 1 right now. And then after we answer 1, then we'll go to 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7. I hope I have enough time to be able to finish all that before Friday. Well, but in the evenings, I'm only talking about the truth. But during the day, if I have more time, if they give me more time, I will come back.
Yes, Pastor, I think you can continue. We can take 5-minute break, then we'll continue. continue to lunch too.
Well, you know, follow your program. When you are ready, let's be.
Just break.
Break till when?
Till 2.
Yeah, but so they need the break.
Yes, we can take 5-minute break, then you can continue.
5 minutes
5
break?
minutes
No, they are kids. No. Let them go and take their rest. Let them go and, you know, just follow the schedule. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody on Facebook. We'll be back tonight.
For the smart talk. Да, мы не можем. Zoe, I would recommend you come introduce yourself and tell us why do you want to have this talk with us before you start. Is that okay? Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Hello, my name is Zoe, and I want to have this talk with you because it's what I believe in, and I'd like to share it with you all. Okay. So my topic is going to be about dreams. I'm pretty sure all of us have or once have had a dream. And all of us should have a dream because it relates to what we want to do with our lives and how we want to spend our lives. And pretty much it's like the purpose of our existence. What we want to do with our lives is what we're going to do to give our lives purpose. And I'd like to start showing you a video, just in case some of you are still a little bit unsure about your dream or your goals in life. This video might help a few of you.
To college a better way. Go to getunbound.org/cow to get a free quote. Does anything make you feel quite as vulnerable as someone asking you this question?
Well, son, I have a question for you. What are you gonna do with your life?
Don't you hate that question? What are you supposed to say? I mean, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out how to get this tweet down to 140 characters. You expect me to plan for my life? But deep down, the reason we hate this question so much is because we don't really know what the heck we're doing. We're just drifting through life, checking our phones, waiting for things to happen to us. Hopefully good things, like a good job, a good date, good luck, and hopefully not bad things. You know, like dying. We just kind of float along and hope things work out. We don't take charge of our lives because, well, that's scary. See, if I were to try and take charge of my life and make some things happen, I might fail. And if I fail, I'll be proving to myself something that I've always suspected but I don't really know for sure. And that's that I'm a loser. Wow. So, when someone asks, what are you gonna do with your life? It's a loaded question, but life sort of has a way of forcing your hand, doesn't it? See, there's 2 times in your life where you start to, freak out about everything and you have an existential crisis. 2 times that I know of, at least. There may be more to come. I don't know myself. The first time is when you're getting ready to graduate from high school and there's all this pressure to know exactly what you want to do in college.
You need to know right now what you want to go tens of thousands of dollars into debt to study.
I don't know, Dad. I'm scared. That seems like a bad plan. The second time you start to freak out is in your mid-20s when your brain stops developing. Anybody whose brain has stopped developing knows exactly what I'm talking about. There is a moment when you realize, wow, I've probably lived a third of my life. What have I accomplished? What am I even doing? And you start to freak out! I should have figured this out a long time ago! I've wasted so many years with World of Warcraft! I say all of this to say, whatever age you are, whether you're a teenager or you're 30. Oh, by the way, guys, I have poison ivy, that's why I have all these bandages on me, okay? Whatever age you are, it's time to start figuring this stuff out. Because, yeah, whatever you decide you want to do, you're probably going to fail at it. A lot. So you should probably get started, as soon as possible so that you can get, through the failing period. And when you fail, that doesn't make you a loser. What makes you a loser is failing and then saying this. Oh, well, it was a good ride. I guess I'm giving up on the dream. So don't be dissuaded from trying something because you think you're not going to be good at it. Of course you're not going to be good at it. That's why you've got to do it, duh. Okay, but how do I determine what I should be spending my time practicing? I'm just going to be watching Netflix over here until further notice. Look, I know when you're young, there's all this pressure on you to pick something. You like pick a job, and then you go into debt to learn about it. Because that's a great way to start your life. So I don't want to add to that pressure, okay? I want to make this easier for you. So there are 3 questions you should ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. Okay, you got a pen? Here you go. Question 1. What am I really good at?
Okay, so I'm gonna stay here. If you have any writing,
You need light?
no. Okay, I'd like you to at least think about these actual questions. Not just watch the video, but think about the questions. And if you want, you can write them down. It's preferable that you write down the answers to these questions. You'll be having to make 3 lists and then find something that matches in all 3 lists. So please write something down. Even if you already have a dream, this might be something to help you confirm it or check it or review it. So please answer the questions.
What am I actually good at?
Did you see it? It's on the screen. Okay.
Something you're good at without even trying. Some ability that you were born with. A natural advantage. Okay, have you written down 1 or 2 of those? Great. Question 2. What makes me the happiest when I'm doing it?
Did you finish the first question? Она делается. Is everybody finished? Yes? Okay, I'm going to go to the next question. What makes me happiest when I'm doing it?
Now, this doesn't have to be something that you're good at. And yes, I want you to write down dumb things like watching Netflix and playing video games. Just anything that brings you joy when you do it. Question 3.
So what makes you happiest? So, second list, what makes you happiest when you're doing it? Is everybody finished? Okay, next question.
If money weren't an issue, what would I spend my time doing? What I mean is, what would you want to do to give your life meaning if you didn't have to work for a living? So now that you've written down all of these things,
If money weren't an issue, what would you spend your third question? If money weren't an issue, what would you spend your time doing? No more. Answer this question. Pearl, sit next to her and be quiet.
Yeah, so maybe you should be posting where
writing. Do you understand?
Yeah, for that. Okay, are you done?